Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei Had Death Note in Highschool DXD World Part 1. Before we start, please go support LineCrowBell13 for writing that awesome fanfic. Now let's begin. This is the translated version I made. There will be some wrong he or she calling here because it's translated, so let me clear this. Issei is a male in this story. Prologue. Chapter 0 Prologue. The 17-year-old girl with a kind of strange metal helmet with her arms and legs tied in a special suit hanging on a metal pillar was locked in a kind of circular cage, and in front of her was a careless guard who dropped some keys inside the strange cage, so she decided to put her arm inside it, and just at that moment, her arm was severed while the keys levitated in front of it at the same time. But it was split in half by a strange force imperceptible to the five senses, while the partner of said guard screamed. "Stop!" as he pointed his weapon and fired it, detonating several times against it without success, while she went down without the suit, only with the helmet on her head, while the guard's head was cut off, while she hummed a melody calmly, while she advanced in that she felt a tremor, but decided to continue. At the same time, outside the facility, a young man with a silver mask with gold details and a strangely shaped red glove walked towards the entrance, where several guards equipped with high-caliber weapons were pointing at him. "Take off your mask and gloves slowly and throw yourself on the ground, boy," one of them said out loud. "HMP," he made a sound of disgust as he raised his arm where he had the red glove and said, "Dragon shoot," and instantly a kind of red sphere came out of the palm of his hand, killing the guards and destroying the entrance door. While a huge tremor happened due to the impact of the attack, the guards inside began to shoot to kill the young man, however the bullets did not hit him. In fact, they seemed to stop right in front of the masked man, while others fell to the ground as if a wall of the hardest material stopped them. "It's a Declonius. Use high-caliber anti-tank weapons," said one of them, who had a plaque that said Robert Elbraham Mayers next to several war medals. However, before anyone could say anything, the young man pointed with one of his fingers at him and said, "You are already dead," and instantly the man fell to the ground holding his chest and screaming in pain, and then stopped breathing and simply died. "Before those who provoked my anger, tremble before me, tremble before Kira," said the masked man as they began to shoot, and he simply tied his gauntlet and said, "Ascalon blade," the glove pronounced with a powerful voice at the same time as a beautiful European-style sword with purple and red details and a gold hilt with stylized crosses on the edges of the hilt came out of it, and the young man held it as he disappeared from the sight of the guards, and they frightened watched as their colleagues were cut in half and died at the hands of the young man, who simply appeared next to them to disappear and reappear next to another, while cutting him in half with the sword, showing off his sword with grace and elegance, while the guards were decreasing their numbers more and more. Back with the young lady. She walked calmly while several guards shot at her left and right without any success, while one of them said, "Stay calm, as long as we are more than 2 meters away from her there will be no problem," he said to reassure his team. "Didn't you also say not to drop any objects?" said another, while a pen from one of the guards' corpses levitated in front of the pink-haired girl and shot out, instantly killing one of them as the pen had hit the subject's skull, while the others were torn to pieces on the spot until she got into an elevator and reached the first floor, since she was previously in the 6th basement of the place, and upon arrival she was greeted by several guards shooting at will while she just walked towards them, while almost all of them were torn to pieces, but one managed to escape running towards some large metal doors, totally desperate, falling near said doors while she approached him, and he was simply decapitated by that strange force at the same time that on the wall, a hand-shaped stain covered in blood activated a lever opening the metal doors, while behind her several guards and a man in a suit were waiting for her, all except for the man in a suit armed with high-caliber weapons, all in an almost deadly silence. But a young woman with brown hair with a yellow blouse and a brown skirt fell in front of her while she was carrying a cup of coffee that fell to the floor. "Kusaragi," the man in the suit shouted desperately while some guards tried to stop him from approaching the girl. "Director Kurama," she said, alarmed. "I'm sorry, I messed up again," she said, apologizing without noticing the young girl next to her. "Run away, Kusaragi," the man shouted desperately. "Hey, what's going on here?" he said as he stood up. "Run fast," the man shouted as she looked at the naked girl with a helmet on her head and a blood mark in the shape of a hand on her shoulder. "Stop, Lucy," the man shouted. Instantly the young brunette's head was separated from her body, levitating in front of the pink-haired girl. "Shoot to kill," shouted the enraged man, and instantly the guards began shooting. While the masked man continued walking with his sword in hand, killing left and right all the guards he encountered until he came across an office worker who looked at him in terror. He just passed her by Ella because for him she was not a target to kill, so he continued advancing through the corridors, killing more and more guards, but leaving alive those who were office workers or scientists. For her part, the pink-haired girl was shot by the guards at will. The body of the recently deceased brunette protected her by levitating in front of her, while the pink pen that the deceased carried with her levitated to shoot out against a guard next to the man in a suit. staining her left cheek with his blood, and instantly the guards ran out of ammunition, while one of them ran towards the young woman to hit her with his weapon, but instantly she had a hole in her chest, while her heart fell into the chest of one of the guards, who looked terrified. The girl began to walk while several guards were torn to pieces, but the man in the suit, not looking at her with rage, passed by her. While he had a blood stain in the shape of a hand on his back, he took a radio and spoke into her. "She's going to the exit, activate the barrier and lock her inside," he said, but instantly he heard the guard on the other side of the transmission shouting, and someone else took the radio to say. "They shouldn't have provoked Kira," he said in a voice from beyond the grave. Well, the subject threw the radio and fell to his knees, but he got up and spoke again on the radio. "Prepare the snipers," as he began to run to a station. Meanwhile, the masked man was in front of a large metal door, and on the other side of it, several meters away, was the young woman with pink hair with the helmet still on her head, but she stopped walking when she heard impacts behind it that seemed somewhat strong, but suddenly she felt something strange and stepped aside. While the masked man raised his gauntlet and charged a sphere of power and threw it against the door, making it explode and shoot out a few meters, and there in front of him was a young woman with pink hair with a strange helmet on her head. She was naked, and when he saw her, he created a magic circle from which a small music box came out, and the girl apparently reacted to seeing this while he put a small box on the ground and opened the lid, which had a hinge, so when he opened it, a melody began to play, while tears could be seen coming out of the helmet, while the girl hummed the same melody, and the young man began to sing now with the box in his hand and approaching her. "Os lusti, meditabitur sapientium," he sang in Latin as he stopped in front of her and closed the box as she stopped humming. "I came for you, Lucy, it's me, Ice," he said as he extended his other hand to her. "Ice," she said while hugging him. "You took too long," she said while the helmet was destroyed by that strange force. "I was weak, but now," he said as he showed her that strange gauntlet while huge bat-like wings came out of his back, "I'm super strong, and I've come to take you with me to my house. I'm sure Irina will be happy to see you," he said, but she showed an annoyed expression and said. "Who is that Irina?" she demanded angrily. "Ah, that's right, she is Hyoudou-kun, only in our childhood did she act very masculine," he said as she relaxed. "I have N''T forgotten our promise, Lucy, I'm going to protect you," he said as he covered her with his strange red vest. At that moment a magic circle appeared beneath them and they disappeared from the place, causing the man in the suit to scream in fury because he expected them to leave through the door that the masked man destroyed and he would shoot them with an anti-tank bullet. Meanwhile, the pair of young people appeared in an abandoned warehouse where Issei used a magic circle on Lucy so that she would come down, dressing her in a yellow blouse and green shorts with matching sandals, while a brunette with pigtails in a school uniform approached them. Instantly she said, "Lucy-chan, how long?" She ran towards her and hugged her tightly while she hesitantly reciprocated the hug, but when she felt Issei join the hug she knew it was Hyoudou Irina. "How long, Hyoudou-kun," said Hyoudou-chan, said the dangerous girl as she could because the two brown-haired girls were suffocating her. "Yes, but call me Irina, yes, by the way, I am an angel now," she said, while a pair of angel wings emerged from her back and a halo of light floated around her head. "And I'm now a Diclonius demon dragon, I think," he said the last thing with doubt. "An angel and a Diclonius demon dragon?" said the pink-haired girl with total doubt. "That's right, in fact there are also gods from all mythologies and supernatural beings," he said, leaving the poor pink-haired girl more confused. "Ah, just one thing, there are many people living in my house, and they are my friends from school, they are all demons," said the brown-haired boy. "Come on, I'll introduce you to everyone," he said as he formed a magic circle under his feet and appeared at the Hyoudou residence. "Okay, here we are, we're going to your room, Lucy. I already prepared it especially for you," said the brown-haired boy, but she took him by the sleeve of his shirt and looked at him with puppy eyes. "I want to sleep in the same bed as you." "Ah, I knew you would say that, well let's go," said the brown-haired boy as they climbed the stairs until they reached the second floor, where all the members of the occult club were present, and this caused a little annoyance in Lucy. "Ice Nyson, who is she?" Asia asked curiously. "She's Lucy, my first love and childhood friend of mine," and Irina Issei said just like that, causing Asia to nod happily. "Lucy, she's Asia Argento, she's like my little sister," Issei said as Asia reached out her hand towards Lucy and he took the blonde's hand and smiled happily at her. For her part, Riaz felt a little upset because her pawn did not introduce her first, but since she did not know if that girl knew about the supernatural world, she let it pass. "Ah yes, she is Riaz Gremory. She is the president of the occult club and heiress of the Gremory clan, one of the demon clans of the underworld," said the brown-haired boy, causing Lucy to look at her strangely. "She is a pure-blooded demon and I currently work for her as her servant." This made Lucy a little upset, being noticed by Issei, who decided to continue. "She brought me back to life on one occasion and since then I am her pawn. I will explain it to you in more detail later." This alarmed Lucy a little, especially the part she said about bringing him back to life. "Who was it?" Lucy said out loud, causing the brown-haired boy to become confused. "What are you talking about, Lucy?" said the brown-haired boy, confused. "Who was the one who killed you?" she said angrily, but the brown-haired boy's hand on her shoulder made her calm down. "She was a fallen angel named Rainer, but she is already dead, but Joe killed her," said Issei. "I see." Then he turned to look at Riaz, but now it was a grateful look. "Thank you for reviving Ice and for killing that fallen angel." Then he turned to look at Issei. "Ice, what is a fallen angel?" she said with genuine curiosity. "They are angels who sinned and fell from God's grace. Their wings are black," said Riaz, answering the question. "And they are enemies," Lucy said, a little annoyed. "They used to be, but thanks to Issei who helped form peace between the factions, they are no longer allies now," said Riaz, but she saw that Lucy was confused once again. "Come Lucy, I will explain everything you need to know," said Riaz, inviting her to sit next to her, which Lucy did while Issei remembered everything that happened since he became a demon. End of the prologue. Chapter 1. Hyoudou Issei, a simple high school student who was in his second year at Kuo Academy, walked calmly through the halls of the academy to eat his bento in his favorite place, which was a tree in front of the old academy building, and the reason was the peace that was felt in the place, peace that he never had, because there was always a couple of idiots who always made a scandal in the classroom. Talking about perverted things making the girls hate them more and more, they always invited Issei to go spy on the girls, and he simply answered, "I'm not interested in that nonsense," always with that expressionless voice and serious look. In short, he was tired of all the chaos in his classroom, so whenever he could he went to his favorite place, and today was no exception. He ate his lunch quietly until he felt a look at his back, so he looked towards the old academy building and could see a beautiful redhead with sapphire eyes staring at him from a window on the second floor. Only seconds passed, but she stopped looking at him and walked away from the window, something that the brown-haired boy didn't care about. He simply continued eating calmly, enjoying the peace and silence, but life decided to screw him over, and why was that? Easy. The pair of perverts in his classroom were being chased by several girls from the kendo club. They ran towards him to ask for help, but he just got up, put his lunch aside, and threw them to the ground with a clean blow to the face, and angrily said, "5 bucking minutes, can I just have 5 bucking minutes without all of you making a bucking scene?" The brunette was really upset this time. "Hyoudou-kun, thank you for capturing them," said to pink-haired girl with short hair. She was Caddis. "Well done girl," said to a brunette with long hair down to her back. She was Murayama. "I'm going to say it only once," said the brown-haired boy, while his eyes were covered by his hair. "I'm tired of my peace and quiet being disturbed by you two, so I give you 2 options." His voice sounded quite serious, so much so that even the girls felt intimidated, and not to mention the perverted duo. 1. You stop doing all your stupid activities at the academy. He raised one of his fingers to raise another. Or 2. I'll send you to the hospital every time you come to the academy. This made the pair of perverts afraid, but the brown-haired boy with honey eyes would not let them run away and told them, "And you choose well," he said, cracking his knuckles and looking at them with defiant eyes, to which they answered, "You win, we'll stop doing all that at the academy," said the scared bald man. He's Mitsuda. "If we promise you that we won't do it again, but don't do anything to us," he said to a black-haired man with glasses. He is Motohama. "Well, there's another thing," said the brown-haired boy, increasing the tension in the air. "Well, the pair of perverts fearfully acknowledged everyone, including you," he said, pointing at the girls from the kendo club. "Go away and let me eat you in peace," the brown-haired boy sentenced, causing the girls to take the pair of perverts and take them away in silence. Since even they were somewhat afraid of the brown-haired boy. The young brown-haired boy was someone lonely, but that had a very sad explanation. He was born with a pair of small horns on his head, which were imperceptible due to the abundance of his hair, and having them only meant one thing: he was a Diclonius. The reason for his isolation was because of the voice in his head. The same one that asked him to kill everyone but which he ignored since he was little, because he always asked him to kill his family and friends, using the excuse that they would betray him. But only a few seconds passed, and the voice ceased, which made him stay calm. He sighed and returned to his classroom once he finished his lunch. When the 2 girls from the kendo club arrived, they apologized to him for causing him trouble, but he told them that there was no problem and that everything was fine. After finishing classes, he walked home but stopped in a small park far from people and reason. "Tell them all, you also know that I think they will betray you, or do you want to go through the same thing as your friend Lucy? Remember that Hyoudou betrayed you by moving away from you because we are a monster," the voice said, while Issei denied. "No, you're wrong. Hyoudou went to Europe because his family had to move. He didn't betray me. We swore to rescue Lucy together one day," the brown-haired boy answered mentally. "Ahaha, do you really think it was like that? He betrayed you. He left here because we are what we are. Accept it, you are a monster, and you will always be, hahaha." The internal voice inside Issei laughed maliciously as he continued to deny it, but suddenly he felt something approaching, and it was a kind of spear of light, but his reaction was too late and the spear hit him in the abdomen. piercing him from side to side so that it then disappeared, leaving a mortal wound. "I killed you because you're dangerous to us," said a girl dressed in a leather jacket, jeans with leather parts and a pair of black wings. "If you want to blame someone, blame God. He gave you that sacred gear," she said to take flight again, but stopped to look at him and said honestly, "It's a shame you're a handsome boy," but she paused and smiled evilly, a misfit partner. "See you later," she finished to fly away. "Damn, that damn girl was more than 4 meters away," said Issei, a little annoyed but out of sight of humans or whatever were 8 invisible arms that by a few centimeters did not reach the place where that strange girl was standing. "I told you and look how you ended up, hahaha, you're going to die and there's nothing you can do. If you had listened to me you would be alive and..." But he couldn't finish when a strange red glow appeared in the place 5 meters from where Issei was, but he could clearly see it was the girl with crimson hair and sapphire eyes. That girl was the idol of the Kuo Academy and she was there in front of him. She looked at him and said, "Do you want to live?" The girl asked as she looked at the young man, who responded by nodding, to which she continued, "Would you live for my sake?" The Redeed asked again, who was all ready to get away from the young man. "What is your cause, senpai?" The young man asked, dying while the voice in his head asked him to kill her. "I am a demon and I want to be the queen of the raiding games and I need you in my peerage, so I want to ask you," she said while healing the brown-haired boy's wounds with a magic circle, something that he has noticed since the pain was slowly decreasing. "Would you become my servant and a demon?" she said, and then continued, "If you do, I will help you fulfill any of your dreams," she said while still healing him slowly. "It's a trap, she just wants to use you, kill her now," said the voice in his head. "No, this is a unique opportunity and I am the one who can use it," thought the brown-haired boy and then looked seriously and determinedly at the Redeed. "I accept, senpai. I have a dream and I have to fulfill it at some point, and if being a demon I achieve it, so be it," said the brown-haired boy while the young woman looked at him happily and took out a wooden box with red details and a wax seal on the top of a magic circle. She opened it and took out a chess piece, putting it on her chest. That piece was the pawn. "Well then, Hyoudou Issei, you will be reborn in this world as a devil of the Grimmery family and you will be my cute pawn," she said, but nothing happened, so she took out another one and repeated the same thing, but nothing. Then she had a hunch and took out the rest of her pawns and placed them on her chest and recited the following: "Hyoudou Issei, I, Ria's Grimmery, order you to become my servant and family. From now on you will be my pawn," and instantly a glow occurred in the place as the pieces entered the chest of the brown-haired man. At the same time his wounds were suddenly healed and his strength returned to him, and a magic symbol appeared in his hand which was placed by the Redeed and helped him stand up and said, "Well, let's get out of here. I will explain everything in more detail in the occult club, to which by the way you now belong," she said to create a magic circle under the feet of both. Upon arriving at the place she could see 3 people in the place which were the most popular in the academy, these being one of the samas of the Himejima Keno Academy, a girl with black hair that reached her back tied in a ponytail and violet eyes. Another was the prince of the Kuo Yudo Kiba Academy, a blonde with grey eyes and a mole on his cheek. The last was the mascot of the Kuo Taojo Kaneko Academy, a small girl with short white hair and hazel eyes. Immediately the Redeed indicated that she should sit in one of the armchairs and introduced them. "He is Hyoudou Issei and he is the new member of our peerage. He is my cute pawn," he said, introducing him. Then the brunette approached him and introduced herself. "My name is Himejima Keno. I am the queen of Ria's Grimmery. It's a pleasure, Issei-kun, Yufufu," she introduced herself with elegance worthy of a lady. Then the blonde stepped forward and said, "My name is Hyoudou Kiba. I'm the knight of Ria's Grimmery. It's a pleasure, Hyoudou-kun." The white-haired girl immediately took a step behind him and said, "Taojo Kaneko Tower, nice to meet you," was presented in a simple and monotonous manner, which made a drop of sweat fall from her chestnut's neck. "Well, Issei, as you know, we are all demons and each of my servants has a rank in chess, you being my pawn, Kiba my knight, Kaneko my rook and Akeno my queen. I am the king. So far, any questions you have?" the Redeed asked. "Yes, that was the girl who attacked me. Was she an angel?" I asked doubtfully. "Yes and no, she is an angel who fell from God's grace for sinning, so she is a fallen angel," said the Redeed, and then explained about the history of the 3 factions and the 2 great wars. "When she killed me she said she did it because I was dangerous for them for having a sacred gear, but I don't know what that is, unless it's because of my power as a Diclonius," he said to confuse the Redeed as well as the rest, but she answered him. "I don't know what a Diclonius is, but a sacred gear is a weapon given by God to humans to defend themselves from supernatural beings, and if she told you that, I suspect you must have a powerful sacred gear. Issei, raise your hand and imagine the most powerful thing you can be. It can be anything, a hero from an anime or a powerful creature." Instantly Issei raised his hand and imagined a hero from his favorite anime Drago Sable, but the image of a huge red dragon with emerald eyes passed through his mind and instantly a red gauntlet that revealed his fingers with golden horns and an emerald gem in the palm appeared in his hand. That's your sacred gear. It seems it's a twice critical, but a pretty powerful one. Once activated it works at the will of its user, said the Reed. Well, the brown-haired boy made his sacred gear disappear. But I have a question to say. What is a Diclonius? He said this with great interest, then the brown-haired boy moved his hair back, revealing a pair of small horns. A Diclonius is a human who was born with a pair of horns, and we have the ability to use invisible hands to take, protect, destroy or pass through anything with them. This made the Reed look at him in amazement, while thinking that this power would be beneficial to her in the future, and with proper training, Issei would be the strongest pawn, but there is a detail: I only have a reach of 4 meters and I only have 8 arms at the moment. If I train enough I can have greater reach, said the brown-haired man, but at the same time he began to feel stronger. What the heck, I feel stronger, he said out loud. That's because when you were reincarnated as a demon you increased all your physical abilities, and I'm sure your Diclonius powers as well. The brown-haired boy just looked at his body, noticing that he was indeed stronger now from what he said. Well, Ria-senpai, I'm leaving for now. I want to check my range, and it's certainly dangerous if I do it here, said the brown-haired boy as he walked to the exit. Well, I'll wait for you here tomorrow at lunchtime, and we'll talk about your responsibilities as a demon of the Gremory clan. I understand, Ria's butcho, see you tomorrow, he said as he left, but he stopped for a second and turned to look at the rest and said with a smile, see you tomorrow, comrades, and left the place. Well, Ria's Gremory thought about the potential of her new pawn. Issei was walking down the street a few blocks from her house when suddenly he saw a small black notebook fall from the sky, so he decided to approach it, and when he saw it, he noticed that it was saying a few words. Death note. Is it an emo's diary? He said sarcastically, but soon his mocking smile would disappear because when he lifted the notebook, his sacred gear activated and changed shape into a red glove that covered his entire forearm, and it had 2 yellow horns that went down his forearm. What the hell, my sacred gear changed? He said, completely impressed. So you unlocked a big part of my power, mate, said a voice in his head, but this one was different. This was a more robust voice. Great, first an evil voice rings in my head constantly, and now I hear another one. It's official, I'm insane, he said to a little annoyed. Partner, that voice is like saying your second personality, but I am the dragon sealed inside the boosted gear. My name is Drag. It is a pleasure that you can finally hear me. Before I could not communicate with you, but now I can. I understand you are a dragon, and the other voice is my evil double personality. But not just any dragon, my friend, I am one of the 2 celestial dragons. I am the Welsh dragon Drag, the Red Emperor dragon, the dragon said proudly, but then continued, you know, every time the voice of your second personality spoke to you, I tried to silence it to prevent you from following bad steps. I even managed to silence it for several days. I understand, but what will this notebook be? The brown-haired boy said mentally. I'm curious too, Buddy, the dragon answers. There is only one way to find out, I thought as I opened the notebook, and in it there were some rules which were. The name of the person written in this notebook will die. This notebook will not work unless the writer has in mind the face of the person he wants to kill while writing the name, therefore people with the same name will not be affected. If the cause of death is written before the next 45 seconds after writing the person's name, this will happen. If the cause of death is not specified, the patient will die of cardiac arrest. After writing the cause of death, the details of the death must be written within the next 6 minutes and 40 seconds. So depending on who you have in mind you can kill him either slowly or painfully, thought the brown-haired boy. That's partner. Use it, kill all the human bastards in this world, kill them before they kill you, or you want to end up like your friend Lucy, said the voice in his head. Ignore him, mate, now that I'm here I'll do us in favor and seal him forever, said the dragon, while the gem shone, and the voice of the second personality was heard screaming in pain. Remember this, Hyoudou Issei, I am you and you are me, and even if you deny it one day you will be like me, ha 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 ha. The voice laughed as it disappeared forever. I doubt it, said the brown-haired boy while hiding his sacred gear, and said mentally, Drake, partner, although that annoying voice was wrong, it gave me a great idea. And which one is that, mate? The dragon asked. Take revenge on those who took Lucy to later rescue her, and why not bring justice to the world, thought the brown-haired boy with determination. That's a good idea, mate, because you know there's something I realized when I saw the world through all the generations of bearers before you, the world is, but instantly they both answered, rotten. Episode 2. After that, Issei went to his house where his mother received him worried because he should have arrived hours ago, but he excused himself saying that he had entered the occult club, so he had activities of the same, and it was a little late. His mother was happy to know that her son finally had initiative in looking for friends, because since the departure of Hyoudou Issei was not the same. Upon entering his room, he locked himself in and turned on his television. A news story about a hostage case was shown. The same attacker who assaulted 6 people in a Shinjuku shopping district yesterday afternoon has struck again. He has taken 8 people hostage in a kindergarten today. His victims include both teachers and children. The police have identified the suspect as Kuru Odaharada, aged 42 and unemployed. Negotiations are expected to begin immediately, the reporter said on the news. Hey Drake, what do you think about this? It would be a good test, Issei asked a dragon sealed in the boosted gear. Yes partner, it seems like a good test to test the death note, said the dragon. Well, we'll write his name, and the cause of death will be I guess I can make him go out and die of a heart attack. What do you say Drake? Asked the brown-haired boy. Good idea, I was thinking of blowing it to pieces, but your idea is good. Well, Kuru Odaharada, cause of death. Cardiac arrest. Details. Leaving the nursery and shouting "Die you bucking idiots" and then dying of cardiac arrest. Is that okay with you, Drake? It's perfect, although I still want to blow it to pieces like dynamite. Have you ever seen anyone die like that? The brown-haired boy asked doubtfully. Yes, one of my carriers was a man from the Old West and he was a half-crazy killer. I never spoke to him, so he never knew of my existence, but believe me, he was fascinated by killing people by blowing them up with dynamite until he found his death at the hands of the same dynamite he would use against a couple. You should have seen it. It was great to see him blown to pieces, hahaha, although I think his fondness for destroying with explosions stayed with me. The Welsh Dragon Tale. Interesting story, but let's write it down. It has been said that we have a criminal to kill, said the brown-haired boy as he wrote down everything he had previously said to the Welsh dragon. By the way, buddy, there's something strange about your resurrection. It seems that your life as a human and your life as a demon are separated, that is to say, you have two lives at the same time, as if a fragment of your soul were still human and were separated from the rest of your soul. And believe me, that's strange. Anyway, let's see what happens in the news. Said the dragon. For the moment, that's all the police have told us, said the reporter as they switched to the studio image. One can only worry about the safety of the hosts, said the news anchor as the reporter was brought back to the newsroom. You're right, we will continue reporting the situation from here, the reporter finished saying while the image showed the news anchor again. Thank you for the report, what do you think about this, Mr. Hashimoto? The presenter asked her colleague. Well, I hope the situation can be resolved soon. Wait, there seems to be movement at the front entrance, said the presenter as they showed how the subject came out with an M5 machine gun in his hand. The suspect is leaving the daycare center. What does he plan to do? It seems that the special forces are taking action and are trying to surround him, said the reporter, while the subject was seen leaving the place. Ah, you damn idiots, argh, the armed man shouted as he grabbed his chest and fell to the ground, lifeless. The suspect has failed, apparently due to severe chest pain. One of the officers is taking his blood pressure by placing his hands on his neck. The officer is apparently telling his colleagues that the suspect has apparently died of cardiac arrest. It seems that the death note is accurate, said Issei, while the dragon inside the boosted gear agreed. At that moment Issei's mother asked him to go to the store while she prepared dinner because she had forgotten to buy something and no longer had time to go, so the brown-haired boy accepted but took the death note with him, along with a bag for the grocery runs. Once there, some criminals were gathered outside the place when they saw a beautiful girl pass by the place, so they began to bother her, while Issei took a few things to take home, along with some fries to enjoy while he did his homework, but when he noticed the situation he took out his death note waiting to hear a name. Come on sweetie, my name is Takuo Shiwamaru, come have a good time with us, said the subject, while Issei quickly wrote his name in the death note, writing that the cause of death was a hit and run. It's not enough, I don't want to, let me go, help me, she screamed as she began to run away from the subject and he began to chase her, but at that moment he was hit by a company truck, killing the subject quickly. No Takuo, damn it, the guy's friend shouted as the girl kept running without stopping and Issei arrived at the checkout to pay for what he had bought and return home. Shinigami World. A humanoid being with red eyes and feathers on its body, wearing black leather clothing and a white face with black hair, approached the edge of what appeared to be a strange bottomless pit from which souls of deceased people and light entered the place, being the only light that illuminated the dark and gloomy place, completely deserted and dead, filled only with those beings called Shinigami. Once at the edge of the place he said. Okay, it's time to go, said this being with a voice from beyond the grave. It's been 5 hours since I dropped her off. Now let's go. Are you going somewhere, Ryuk? Asked one of those beings. I hate to tell you this, but our whole world looks like this, said another of those beings, only this one had the head of a cow skull. It's true, but I lost my death note, he said simply. Haha, now you really screwed up, said one of them. Wait a second, you didn't trick the old man into giving you a second death note, don't tell me you lost both, said the skull-headed man. You must have an idea of where you left off, one of them said. Yes, in the human world, Ryuk said, while the other two beings said, what? At that moment a pair of wings like those of a fallen angel came out of his back and he let himself fall into that strange well, thus arriving in the human world. Human world Kuo City. The Shinigami continued flying through the city and apparently no one else could see him, so he set his course for a specific house. Meanwhile Issei arrived home and delivered the purchases to his mother. "I'll be studying in my room, if you need anything else let me know," said the brown-haired boy as he went up the stairs with his fries and a few apples. Once in his room he locked the door and put his notebooks on the desk while he started to do his homework, but when he saw the death note, he laughed a little at the fact of how absurd it was that it existed and was in his hands while he thought about his revenge against those who kidnapped Lucy. "It seems like you're enjoying it," said in a deep voice as Issei turned around a corner, and there was the white-headed feathered creature with black hair and red eyes looking at him with a somewhat sinister smile. "What the heck, boosted gear," he said in brown as he materialized his sacred gear, and it made a boost sound. "There is no reason to be surprised. I am the Shinigami Ryuk, and I am the owner of that death note. Judging by your laughter, you already realize that it is not an ordinary notebook, although more impressive is that strange glove that you have on your arm. Perhaps it is the boosted gear. The Shinigami, a god of death, for a moment I mistook you for a fallen angel. Don't compare me to those inferior beings, Sekirute," said the Shinigami. "Now that I've seen the power of the death note, I'm more than sure of what I want to do," said the brown-haired boy in a serious voice. "How interesting, I honestly didn't expect something like this. Several death notes have come to the human world in the past, but you're the first one who's sure what to do with it. Apart from that, you don't have to be on guard, I won't hurt you, in fact the death note is now yours, but if you don't want it, you can give it to someone else, but I'll have no choice but to erase your memory of it. Although when it's your time to die I would write your name in my death note, but I warn you that the human who uses the death note when dying will not go to heaven or hell for all eternity, that's all. Now you know what awaits you once you die," Ryuk said while Issei relaxed and hid the boosted gear. At that moment Issei's mother knocks on the door while calling him. "No problem, listen," says the Shinigami. At that moment Issei walks to the door and opens it. "What's wrong?" asks the brown-haired boy. "I thought you might need more apples." "They are. Our neighbors brought them to us, by the way." "Why is your room so dark? You'll hurt your eyesight." "What's going on? Can't my mom see it?" thought the brown-haired boy. "That's right, mate," the dragon mentally answered the brown-haired boy. "Well, I'll let you study, son," said Issei's mother as she closed the door and the brown-haired boy locked it. "The notebook you picked up originally belonged to me, and since you are the one who uses it now, only you can see me and of course only you can hear my voice, and this applies even to other supernatural beings. Even the Greek god Hades finds it impossible to see us," said the Shinigami to the brown-haired boy while taking an apple. In other words, the notebook is the connection between Hyoudou Issei and Ryuk the Shinigami. After that he bit the apple. "Delicious," he said after tasting it. "I just have one question, why did you choose me?" Issei said. "The apples of the human world are worth a trip, as I can describe them, juicy," said the Shinigami. "Answer my question," Issei said seriously. "I didn't choose you, you see, it was all an accident. Do you think you were chosen because you're smart or because you're the Sekirute? Don't," he conceded. "She just fell near here and you picked her up. That's all that happened. That's why I wrote the instructions in English, the most common language in the human world." "Then why did you drop it? You even wrote specific instructions on it, so don't say it was just an accident," the brunette demanded an answer. "You ask me why? I did it because I was just bored." "I'm bored," said Issei without believing it. "The truth is us Shinigamists don't really do much these days, most of our time is spent playing or sleeping. If you put any effort into writing names in the death note, others make fun of you for working so hard. There's no point in even writing another Shinigami's name in the death note because we can't die, and since we live in the Shinigami world, we don't have fun killing those in the human world, so I figured I'd have more fun if I came to the human world myself," the Shinigami said. "Anyway, I'm a little intrigued that you've only killed criminals. Besides, what do you have in mind?" "Well, I'll trust you. I plan to do two things. The first is to kill all those who had to do with the capture of Lucy, a childhood friend, and the second is to wipe out all the criminals in the world," Issei said calmly. "What is the reason for doing this?" "I mean, kill all the criminals?" Ryuk asked curiously. "It's only a matter of time before they realize that someone is eliminating these criminals. I want the world to know of my existence, that there is someone in the world who is judging the wicked," said the brown-haired boy. "Why do you bother? What are you trying to achieve by judging them? I mean, what do you care?" the Shinigami asked. "Because I'm bored too. I didn't want to believe it at first, but now it's obvious. There's something in the notebook that makes humans or even demons want to use it once again. As I wrote those names I felt the need to do so to cleanse this world of criminals so that no one dares to commit the same atrocities, and while the guilty ones who deserve to be punished for their crimes die of a heart attack, those less guilty but who cause problems to others will slowly be eliminated by diseases and accidental deaths. Then, and only then, will the world move in the right direction. It will be a new world free of injustice," said the brown-haired boy seriously. But if you do that you will be the only bad person left, Ryuk said, making his point. I don't understand what you're talking about, Ryuk. I'm just a student from Japan, but I'm also a demon after all. I represent evil, said the brown-haired boy as he extended his pair of demonic wings. It's just as I thought, humans reincarnated into demons are much more interesting, Ryuk thought. Okay Ryuk, I'll do my homework and then I'll go to sleep because you know I was close to death recently and now I'm a reincarnated devil, Issei said as he walked to his desk and started doing his homework while Ryuk tied the apples that were on Issei's bed. After that the brown-haired boy went to sleep because the next day he had to go to the Kuo Academy, so he fell asleep without further ado. However, Drake had other plans, so he took him to the mental space inside the boosted gear. Mental space inside the boosted gear. Issei found himself floating in total darkness as he wondered if this was a dream. However, his thoughts were interrupted when he saw that everything was engulfed in flames. However, they did not harm him, and right in front of him, an imposing red dragon with emerald eyes appeared. You're probably wondering where you are, but I'll tell you, we're in the mental space inside the boosted gear, said the huge 100-meter tall red dragon. And when I got here, Drake, I wanted to talk to you in private. You know that Shinigami doesn't know it, but your partner has your soul fragmented into 2 parts, and that is due to your status as a Diclonius, said the Welsh dragon. And 2 parts? Because of my status as a Diclonius. Explain yourself, Drake, said the brown-haired boy. You see, it seems that your second personality was actually a separate fragment of your soul, and that part, despite the fact that you were reincarnated as a demon, was not affected by it, so it remains human, even though it is sealed by me, but the most curious thing is that it has its own life expectancy. Let's see if I understand. You say that my soul was split into 2, and one of those fragments belonged to my other self, and when I was reincarnated only that part remained human, but has a different life expectancy than mine. Exactly, to put it simply, your other self will live until you are 70 years old, but your current self will live almost forever. Apart from that, I discovered something curious about the Death Note. I understand, and what did you discover about the Death Note, Drake? That can't kill supernatural beings like you or any other demon, angel, fallen or any yokai. In other words, it can only kill humans, but I have the theory that if we absorb it into the boosted gear, being a Longinus, it will be able to kill supernatural beings, but it will depend on how strong you are, partner, because it won't be able to kill gods or Mao level beings. I think not even high-class demons, cadres or seraphim. It's enough for me to be able to kill the fallen for now, although it's not in my plans to finish them off for now. And what will you do with the Gremory girl, partner? It's obvious, my friend. I will continue to be by your side. I owe you my life, and at least serving you will be a good reward for saving me from dying. Besides, thanks to you, I now have the Death Note and not someone who would waste it on a silly thing. Okay buddy, I'll let you rest. I'll go to sleep for a while. Rest. Rest, Drake, said the brown-haired boy goodbye as he fell into Morpheus's arms. Out of mind space. Issei was asleep while Ryuk was having fun reading a manga he found in Issei's room. This manga is interesting. That ninja boy is particularly similar to Issei, both have a powerful being sealed inside them. Well, let's see the next volume, said Ryuk to take another volume, completely incomparable, huh? I don't like Sasuke. If he were real, I would have killed him with my Death Note at least 10 times, and especially on the Naruto bridge in the battle against Haku, said the Shinigami as he continued reading, and so the Shinigami spent the night reading the Naruto manga. Chapter 3. It was daytime in Kuo City, and a certain brown-haired boy got out of bed, only to see the Shinigami Ryuk reading a manga. Wow, this manga is crazy. Who would have thought that Naruto would be accepted by the village after defeating Pain? It's crazy to know that you got to that point in one night, Ryuk, the brown-haired boy said sarcastically. This is as addictive as Issei apples, said the Shinigami as he continued reading. I see, well, I'm going to have breakfast. Then I'll bring you some apples, he said as he put on his academy uniform. I've done it, but there are still some left. For some reason I haven't stopped since I started reading this manga. Okay, I'm missing the last volume, I'll buy it later, said the brown-haired boy as he left the room with his uniform on. Already outside the room I went down to have breakfast, while Ryuk decided to stop reading to go down to see what Issei was doing. Once he finished breakfast they headed to the Kuo Academy, where a white-haired girl was waiting for him at the entrance. Hyoudou senpai, good morning, Ria's Butchu is waiting for you in the club room, said the white-haired girl. Good morning Kaneko-chan, let's go. Apparently it is true that not even supernatural beings can see a Shinigami, thought the brown-haired boy. After a while they arrived at the hidden clubroom where Rias greeted him. Good morning Issei, did you manage to find out the new extent of your power? The Redite asked him with doubt. Yes, it has increased quite a bit, in fact I can now reach 64 meters away, answered the brown-haired boy. 8 times the previous reach, that was a huge advance, said the redeed anyway. I need you to come after class to start your work as a demon. The brown-haired boy nods to what the redeed said. Well, we will also discuss the strategies we will take when we have a rating game against Razor Phoenix. He is my fiancé, but I hate him, and this interferes with my plans to be the emperor of the rating. Aim, so I count on you, Issei, that's all you can go. With that, the brown-haired boy nodded and left while Ryuk looked at him in disbelief. Are you really going to do all that, Issei? Said the Shinigami as Issei takes his phone, turns it hands-free, and pretends to talk on the phone. That's right, Ryuk, I plan to do that, and let's just say that your ambition caught my attention, the Shinigami nods. And you've thought about what I told you about the Shinigami eyes. Do you accept or what? He said as if nothing had happened. I accept, I'll give you half of my life, said the brown-haired boy as he began to see the names and lifespans of several students. Wow, it worked. Comrade, your other half's life was reduced to 40 years, but your demon life is not the same, the dragon informed him. I see, thanks Drake, the brown-haired boy answered. I see that losing half of your life didn't affect you, In fact, I noticed that it's still the same. It seems that being reincarnated helped you, Ryuk said, looking at him happily. Strange coincidences, Ryuk. Well, I'll leave you tomorrow, we'll play more. Bye. And he intended to hang up a call because he had arrived at his classroom. At the beginning of classes, Issei did not pay much attention because he already knew the subject, so he looked outside the classroom, thinking about what to do after his duties as a demon ended when the teacher noticed him distracted and spoke to him. Young Hyoudou, please come and solve this problem, said the teacher calmly, since the brown-haired boy was the smartest in the academy. Issei quickly went on to solve it and finished in a few seconds. For his classmates it was nothing new, they were aware of the brown-haired boy's capabilities, so it was nothing new. This is boring, Issei, I'm going to take a walk for a while, Ryuk said as he went for a walk. After class, some girls from the chestnut class began to scream excitedly when they saw the prince of the academy arrive at their class. Hyoudou Kunbutchu is waiting for you at the club, let's go, said the blonde. Okay, let's get going, said the brown-haired boy, while the girls watched in disbelief as the prince of the academy left with the genius of the academy, because Issei had always been number 1 in the exams of the entire academy. Once they arrived at the club, Issei sat on the couch to look at the redeed and wait for her to speak. Well, Ice, today will be your debut as a demon of the Gremory clan. To increase your rank it is necessary that you make contracts with humans. These days there are no people who can summon a demon just by drawing magic circles on the ground, so we give people these pamphlets, he said, showing a paper equal to the one given to him when he was killed by Rainer. Normally our relatives do it, but you have to do it to learn how to do the job, so do your best, he said the redeed. I understand, said the brown-haired boy as he put the pamphlets in his briefcase. Well, I have a job for you, said the redeed. Kaneko had 2 calls at the same time, so I need you to help me with one. I appreciate the help, said the white-haired girl with a bow. It's nothing, said the brown-haired boy. Well, let's get to it right now. At that moment Akeno made a magic circle on the ground and Issei stood on it to look at the others and then appeared in the contractor's room, who was an otaku in every sense of the word. The demon I requested was Kaneko-chan, said the guy a bit annoyed. I'm sorry, but Kaneko is not available at the moment, so they sent me, said Issei a little annoyed, and then saw his name and lifespan, which was not much. The poor guy would die in a few years. By the way, what kind of powers do you have? Kaneko-chan has super strength and super cosplay, said the guy. Well, basically I can move any object within a range of 64 meters, create invisible fields, and instantly kill any enemy, as well as see how much time people have left to live, not counting what I have at that moment. The boosted gear appeared on his arm. I have the arm of a dragon with which I can increase my power every 10 seconds. Not to mention that it has one of the most powerful dragons in the world sealed inside it, he said proudly. I mean, you're basically a killing machine, said the otaku. See, this way I can read manga and drink a soda without using my hands, said Issei to impress the guy. Isn't that power fantastic? Said Issei. Yes it is. Hey, I was going to ask Kaneko-chan to help me arrange those mangas over there, pointing at a bunch of mangas from different series, but with your power, that will be a piece of cake, he said, and then saw how they floated in front of Issei to begin to arrange themselves on the shelf sorted by series and volume to which they belonged, leaving the subject happy. Well, job done, Issei said, sitting on the living room couch. Hey, let's sign a contract. I'm going to need your help a lot, said the guy. Okay, sign here, he said, showing the contract, which the guy didn't hesitate to sign. Ready, call me when you can and I'll try to come as soon as possible. Hey, here's this manga, he said, showing the latest volume of Naruto. I bought it twice and I have this one left over, so I'm giving it to you, the guy said happily. Thank you very much, this will make someone happy, said Issei, seeing that behind the subject was Ryuk with a big smile when he saw the volume he had yet to read. Thanks to you, demon boy, said the subject. It may be late, but my name is Morishima Takeru. It is a pleasure, the subject introduced himself. Mine is Hyoudou Issei, nice to meet you, Takeru-san, said the brown-haired boy. The pleasure is mine, Issei-san, I answered happily. Well, I have to go, he said, walking towards the door. You will not leave in the magic circle, said Takeru. I want to walk to clear my mind, Issei said as he opened the door and walked out, starting to walk down the street, and then took out his cell phone and dialed a number which belonged to his current mistress. But how did the phone number get to his contacts? The answer is magic. I know what happened. Why didn't you come back to the magic circle? Did you manage to make the contract? The redeed asked through the phone. I wanted to walk a little, I'm bored, and if I signed the contract, if it's always going to be like this, it'll be a piece of cake, said the brown-haired boy. Well done, I need you to come to the academy when you have free time. We have a mission and I want you to be on it, said the redeed. I understand, I'll go in a little while, he said to hang up the call, and then noticed that the sky was darkening with purple tones around him. This feeling, Issei said as his gaze focused on a woman in front of him. Is she? If a fallen angel companion, what will you do? It's not obvious, Drake. If she does something weird, I'm going to kill her. That's strange, it doesn't seem like I was wrong, Rainer wasn't supposed to have killed you, said the woman annoyed. He sentenced himself to death by mentioning that name. Heharaik laughed evilly. Why are you still alive? She said, annoyed. Maybe because of this, said the brown-haired boy to show the mark of the grimoire on his palm. The grimoire, now I have more reasons to kill you, he said to throw a spear of light, but it stopped near Issei and then was instantly destroyed. But what the hell? He couldn't finish when his wings were amputated from his back, causing him to scream intensely in pain. You know, they messed with the wrong guy, fallen ones, he said while lifting his hair showing a pair of horns. I'm a Diclonius, and also in that he made the boosted gear appear, the Hyoudou. Arg, the Hyoudou, I must escape from here and inform the rest, she said, trying to run, but she felt as if 1,000 hands were touching her, preventing her from moving forward. You should know that you are more than dead, Kalwerner, said the brown-haired boy, looking at her while his eyes glowed blood red. You tried to kill me, but how many innocent lives have you taken? He said as he approached her. Don't go away, I'll do whatever you ask me to do. Please have mercy, the fallen woman cried out. How many asked you for mercy and you ignored them, he said, approaching her, looking at her in the eye. Answer, Kalwerner, how many lives did you take with your filthy hands? Please have mercy, I'll tell you everything, but don't kill me. At that moment, a red magic circle appeared where Riaz and her entourage appeared. Riaz, upon seeing Issei's gauntlet, showed a triumphant smile because she basically won the lottery when she learned that it was the boosted gear. Speak well, tell everything you know, but not to me, he said, turning to look at Riaz. Tell her. Well, I'll talk, he said, crying. The Kakabial cadre ordered us to kill all the sacred gear users in the place, promising to raise our ranks, all behind the back of Azazel, leader of the fallen angels. He said while crying. He's still down. I want you to tell him everything, where his base is and how many there are, said the brown-haired boy in a demanding tone. You better talk before I start torturing you. Fallen this scared her when she heard Drake's voice. In the abandoned church on the outskirts of the city, and there are 4 of us fallen angels counting me. There are also more than 80 renegade priests and exorcists. Also tomorrow a renegade nun with a special sacred gear will come to the city, and they will try to take away her sacred gear with a ritual, she said with fear. Don't kill me, I told you everything I know. Well done, you've told me something useful, but tell me about that nun. What is her sacred gear? Riaz asked. Twilight healing, her name is Asia Argento, she is all that is mercy, she said. Riaz, but you, said the brown-haired boy, drawing his mistress's attention to her. Do I kill her or do we take her to make her our personal slave and have her take care of the paperwork among other things? You know, Ice, I need a new secretary, he said, looking at the fallen woman who looked incredulous as at how they would let her live. But nothing assures me that she will be faithful to me, he said, causing her to start to worry. I will do whatever Riaz-sama asks me to do. Whatever it is, I will swear loyalty to you, but don't kill me, said the fallen one. Fine, but to take measures just in case, said Riaz in a serious tone. Educator, ordered Riaz. Let's go to the Butchu Fufu club, there I will educate her like never before, said Akeno with her classic sadistic look that made the fallen sweat. You're right, Akeno, I think you have more experience than Ice in educating those who misbehave. Will I leave it to you, then I go to see Ice. Since when did you change your sacred gear? I ask, she is looking at him seriously. Just now, he said without flinching. Let's go on the mission right away, we need to get rid of a renegade demon and some fallen ones, he said, to make a magic circle and have everyone enter it to be transported to the outskirts of an observatory and then enter the place. Here it is, said Kaneko. I smell something horrible, but also something delicious. It will be sweet or it will be bitter, said to a naked woman. Degenerate exhibitionist, said Issei upon seeing her. Renegade Demon Visor, evil beings like you who betray their masters deserve death. In the name of Archduke Gremory, we will eliminate you. With that said, the demon took the form of a horrible beast, same as in the anime. Kiba attacked, cutting off one of her arms, so that Kaneko then ran towards her, dodging each attack that the renegade demon threw at her, ending with an uppercut, throwing her into the air where Akeno finished by electrocuting her, while Riaz moved her hand to the right to destroy the severed arm that was barely moving. "We don't let our guard down for a second, renegade," said Riaz. "Well, Ice, you saw our way of fighting, now it's your turn, finish it," ordered Issei. "Issei, use your power as if it were the sand of Gera and make the sand coffin, but with your vectors, I want to see it," said Ryuk next to Issei. "I renegade," he said as she rose into the air to shout coffin of vectors. With it the renegade was crushed in the air, leaving a mass of ground flesh and blood, leaving everyone impressed by the brutality of the attack, while Kiba vomited to the side as he had never seen something so cruel and brutal in his life. "Ice, you exaggerated, it was not necessary to crush her like that," she said, to launch an attack of destruction and end up disintegrating what was left of the renegade. "Ice, try not to be so brutal again," said Riaz, still pale because she wanted to vomit from what she saw. "Well, let's go at once against the fallen angels to eliminate them once and for all, before they are a problem," she said, while generating a magic circle where everyone except Akeno and the fallen one who witnessed Ice's brutality was still traumatized and prayed not to be in the place of the renegade demon. Issei and the Gremory entourage appeared outside the abandoned church and put up a powerful barrier. Immediately several exorcists and renegade priests left the place to attack. "Ice, we'll take care of the exorcists, you take care of the fallen ones." "Understood," Riaz Butchu. With that, Issei began to walk through the battlefield, killing one or another exorcist that attacked him along the way. At that point I felt an unpleasant sensation. "I see you're still alive and you've become a damn demon," said the fallen angel in the air. Issei turned to look at her and then learned her name and smiled. "It's nice to see you again, Rainer." That made her uneasy because she never revealed her name to him. "I've come to return the favor from that time," he said, to turn to the right and see a spear of light heading towards him, but it stopped before touching him and then it was destroyed. "I see that you want to play, don't you? But I don't feel like playing, so die," he said, to raise his hand, and then he was decapitated by his Declonius power. This scared both Rainer and the other little girl. "See, how is that possible? What did you do?" Rainer asked. "If you had been a step closer when you stabbed me that time, the same thing would have happened to you, although now I have much more reach, like 8 times more," he said, so that Rainer was thrown to the ground, falling very close to Riaz. "Fallen angel Rainer, your end has come," he said, to launch an attack of the power of destruction, disintegrating her instantly, leaving only black feathers in the air. "Well, you're still here," Issei said to the poor fallen man who was left, making her cry. "Please don't kill me, I'll do whatever you ask me to do," she began to sob loudly. "They forced me to follow them, please don't kill me," she cried inconsolably. "Then you must obey the letter every order we give you, that is to say, you will be our slave just like Kalwerner," the brown-haired boy was sentenced, while the blonde with pigtails opened her eyes at the realization that Kalwerner had betrayed them, but she put that aside. She wanted to live, and if it was necessary to be the slave of some demon she would do it. She would leave her pride behind to save herself. "I understand, master, I will be your faithful servant." With it he bowed while the remaining exorcists shouted traitor at him. "This is your first order, kill the remaining exorcists," Riaz said out loud, who had heard what her pawn had said. "You are so cruel, Issei," Ryuk said, almost laughing. She said, to create several spears of light killing the exorcists, but without anyone except Issei, Drake and Ryuk, who did not give importance to that. "Ready, I did it, mister," she said, bowing in that Issei approaches her, something that intimidates her and makes her nervous. "Well done, let's go home with Kalwerner. By the way, it may be late, but my name is Hyoudou Issei, Riaz Gremory's pawn," said the brown-haired boy, leaving the blonde somewhat stunned. "Come on, little crow, we don't have all night to wait for you," said Kaneko next to Riaz and Kiba. "Let's go," said Issei, standing next to Riaz, making her follow him to enter a magic circle and appear in the occult club room where Kalwerner, with a lost look murmuring incomprehensible things and a smiling Akeno blushed, received them with cups of tea. I see that they brought another toy for this on-sama," he said, licking his lips, scaring Middle, making him hide behind Issei. "Issei-sama, protect me from her, I'm scared," he said with tears in his eyes. "Akeno-senpai, she is now my slave, so I can't allow her to hurt her," said Issei, causing the blonde to calm down. "Riaz-sama, what punishment do you think is best for Middle-chan for misbehaving all this time?" At that moment, Kalwerner looked at Middle and hugged her while crying bitterly, causing everyone to look at Akeno, who smiled, blushing at the accusatory looks of the others. "Akeno, what the hell did you do to make him look like this?" the redhead asked doubtfully. You Fufu, do you really want to know?" Riaz Butchu said the black-haired girl while putting a hand on her cheeks. "That girl is a sadist, you better take care of her," Issei Ryuk told the brown-haired boy. Better not, I want to sleep tonight," said the redhead quickly. "Will you be loyal to us, Fallen?" she asked Kalawiner. Yes, Ria-sama, I swear eternal loyalty, I swear it, but please do not leave me alone with her, she said crying, pointing at Akeno, while Kaneko patted her on her back and Kiba put a hand on her shoulder of hers. I understand, she said, perplexed. Ria's but you, what are we going to do with the nun who will arrive tomorrow? Issei asked intrigued. I'll make her Da'ella my bishop. Her Da'ella power to heal others will be very beneficial to us, but of course I'll do it if she wants it. By the way, I need you to approach her tomorrow, said the Redeed. I understand, but where will it be? Asked the brown-haired boy. In a park near here. I will guide you tomorrow, Issei-sama, said Middle bowing. Well, I'm going home, said the brown-haired boy, turning to look at Middle. Are you coming or are you staying? I have asked. She looked at the place for a second, seeing how Akeno smiled, she looked at Kalawiner and said nervously, I'm going with you, Issei-sama, she said hurriedly, but a second later, Kalawiner took Issei's leg and looked at him with tears in her eyes. Take me with you, Sekiryuite Hyoudou Issei-sama, said the poor fallen. I don't know what Akeno did to you, but a comfortable bed and a delicious dinner will make you feel good. Come on, let's go to my house, said the brown-haired boy, but he was stopped by his mistress, who looked at him worriedly. Ice, are you sure? Your parents could be in danger, said the Redeed, but Issei looked at her and said. My father is a Declonius too, so I would be more worried about them. I point to the two fallen ones. I understand, Ice, rest tomorrow afternoon we will talk about the tactics we will do in the raiding game against Razor, said the Redeed. Rest. Having said that, the chestnut left the place with the two fallen ones who looked at him all the way to the chestnut's house, who upon arriving was greeted by his mother who looked worried. Ice, where have you been? And who are they? Asked her mother worriedly. At the club, but there's something I have to talk to you and Dad about, he said seriously, leaving his mother in doubt. With that he entered the house followed by the Falls, but stopped when he saw his father holding his head. Hello, hi son, how did it go at the academy? Said the father with quite an effort. I suppose you're going to help him, right? Issei. Fine, but there is something I must talk to you guys about. Drake, do you think you can signal my father's alternate personality too? He mentally asked his scaly tenant. Put your forehead against his, I'll do the rest, the dragon answered, causing Issei to walk up to his father and put his forehead against his, and a flash of emerald light was seen in the place for an instant, and then his father softened his features, making it known that he was no longer trying to ignore that voice he always heard. What did you do to me, son? I feel better, the voice is gone, said his father. The street forever so you won't have to worry about hurting mom anymore, he said, making his parents smile, but doubt got the better of them. How did you do it, asked his mother about him. With the help of Drake. Say hello, partner, he said, manifesting the boosted gear, leaving his parents impressed. Nice to meet you humans, I am Drake the Red Emperor Dragon, one of the two celestial dragons, the dragon said proudly. Chapter 4. It was daytime in the city of Kuo. Issei got up from his bed as he went down to breakfast, remembering everything Drake told his parents about him. I have explained to them everything that had happened in the last few days, except for Ryuk and the death note. It must be said that the brown-haired boy's parents were shocked to learn everything about the supernatural since, although they knew of the existence of the Declonius, they did not believe in the supernatural, but having the evidence in their face they could not deny it, although knowing that their son was the carrier of one of the most powerful dragons made them feel happy and proud, but realizing that he became a demon they felt a little sad until they heard from Middle that Issei would earn a lot of money with his work as a demon, so knowing that their son had a promising future they were proud of the brown-haired boy. Then Issei explained to them that both fallen angels would stay in the house, to which they agreed without any problem. It should be noted that that night Issei managed to put the death note inside the boosted gear, leaving Ryuk impressed, and even more so when he found out that Drake could use it from the inside, so now Issei would have no problem writing names at all times, since that would be taken care of by Drake, who would gladly do it. Once Issei had breakfast, he retired with Middle in search of meeting Asia Argento, while Kalawiner transported herself in a magic circle to the occult club room, since Riaz called her to do the paperwork. Issei was walking through the streets while Middle walked beside him, explaining that they would meet the nun in a nearby park when they heard someone fall behind them, so they turned around seeing the aforementioned nun. Why do I always fail? Said the blonde. Are you okay? Said the brown-haired boy to help her up. Hi, thank you very much, said the blonde as the wind blew her veil away, showing her innocent face that turned to surprise when she saw that the veil was floating in the air to push away from her, while it began to return to her, but how? The young man never wondered. It was me, sorry if I surprised you, by the way I'm Hyoudou Issei, it's a pleasure, said the brown-haired boy while scratching the back of his neck. Haha, his expression of surprise is priceless, haha. Ryuk laughed as he watched everything with his typical smile. Thank you, I'm Asia Argento, it's a pleasure, the nun said happily, then she noticed the other blonde who was looking directly at her. Hello Asia, said Middle, greeting her. Middle Sama, I'm sorry I didn't notice you, the young blonde apologized. Don't worry, there's someone who wants to see you, said Middle. Rainer Sama? The nun asked innocently. No, Asia, things have changed. Rainer and Nash plus Ku are dead. It's just Kalwerner and I, he said as he watched Asia cover her mouth with her hand and put on a surprised expression. And where are we going? Asked Asia. Let's go see the Demon King's sister, girl, of course if you could hear me, haha, Raik said because he was bored. Let's see our new mistress, a demon heiress of the Gremory clan, said Middle. Middle, she has the option to refuse, Issei said. Okay, let's go. We're wasting a lot of time. He said in a serious tone, but the funny face Raik was making him want to laugh. Seriously, what's wrong with Raik today? He's super weird. This bored companion, it is natural that he wants to kill time, Drake said mentally to his carrier. Killing time it's funny because he's a Shinigami, Issei answered. After walking for a while they arrived at the Kuo Academy and everyone entered the occult club. We have arrived, said Issei as he let Middle pass, who was talking to Asia. It should be said that Raik stayed to eat apples in the tree in front of the club since he was bored. Well, you're Asia Argento, right? The Redhead asked. Hi, said the nun bowing. My name is Rias Gremory, one of those in charge of maintaining the protection of the city. I heard that you have a healing sacred gear. Could you show it to me? Rias asked. Hi, is this, he said as two rings appeared on her hand and a light green glow came out of them. I would like to ask you, Asia Argento, if you would like to join my nobility. You will have everything you want. Tell me, what do you most desire, Asia? She got straight to the point. I had known that she looked at Issei for some reason. He gave her confidence and security to family and friends. Shortly after I was born my parents abandoned me in front of a church in a small village in Europe. Someone found me crying, and that was where I was raised. Then when I turned 8 an injured dog entered the church. I prayed for him with all my strength, and then a miracle happened. After that they took me to a large church where the wounded and sick came from all over the world to be healed by my prayers. I was so happy that my powers helped people, but one day I found a wounded man and helped him, but he was not someone I should have cured. He used his powers to cure a demon. He is a witch, shouted the faithful of the church. The people of the church where she was said that curing a demon with the divine powers that God had given me was blasphemy and heresy, said Asia in a sad tone. So that's how you lost your home and joined the fallen angels, Issei said. But I never forgot how grateful I was to God nor the joy of praying, and I accepted that in this world there are people who do evil, because even that is the will of God, but now, that is just empty words for me. I always wanted to have many friends and plant flowers with them, buy books and talk all night even more. Have a family, a brother who takes care of me, that has always been my dream, said Asia, while tears escaped from her eyes, and everyone looked at her with sadness, until Issei walked in front of her and said. Then I will be your brother and take care of you. I'm sure my parents will love you like their own daughter, since they always wanted to have a daughter, so what do you say? Do you want to be part of the Hyoudou familia? He extended his hand towards the blonde who cried, took it, and said in tears of joy. Hi Ani-chan, she said smiling as the brown-haired boy hugged her. So what do you say, Asia, would you become a demon to spend more time with your new family? As I said, I will grant you anything you ask of me in exchange for serving me, said the Gremory, smiling happily because she had never seen that kind of attitude in her pawn. She always saw him so analytical and somewhat ruthless in the way he killed his opponents, as was the case with the exorcists and the renegade demon, who by the way still had not overcome that slight trauma of seeing something crushed like that. I accept. Even if I can't pray anymore, I'll be happy. She said while still hugging Issei. Well then, he said, taking a bishop out of a wooden box that was on his desk and walked over to Asia, giving her the chess piece in her hand. Asia Argento, I Rias Gremory order you to become my servant and family from now on. You will be my bishop. With it the piece disappeared inside Asia, while a pair of demon wings came out of her back. Ikpo. In a certain part of the world, several people were gathered in a large auditorium discussing a topic of great importance. There have been 57 confirmed deaths, and that was just last week. Every single one of them was a heart attack. In all cases, these were criminals who were either in prison or wanted for their crimes. I think it's safe to say that there are deaths of other criminals that we don't know about yet. The total number of deaths could be more than 100, said another, while in the Japanese section a man sat next to his companion. Good morning, boss, we started without you, said to a young man with black hair. Okay, I had to take an urgent call from headquarters, said the man who was of legal age to the young man, but then they heard a guy in the meeting talking. Anyway, those were criminals who would probably be executed sooner or later. Don't you think we should care whether he was a criminal or an innocent person? A murder is a murder, said the furious Canadian representative. It is too early to consider this a homicide, said the Russian representative. And how come they suffered a heart attack at the same time? It's not a coincidence, it's murder, stressed the furious representative of Canada. He believes that it is possible to kill these people simultaneously in different places, said the representative of Italy. Let's consider this an elaborate plan by a secret organization, said the US representative. If this is an organization, I'm not the only one who suspects the CIA and the FBI, said the Russian official. I dare you to repeat that, said one of the US citizens angrily. This is not the time to fight. We need to confirm if they are really homicides and/or coincidences, said the German. How? In all the autopsies it was determined that the victims died of cardiac arrest, said the representative of Brazil. Investigating a series of heart attacks is pointless. I don't see what else we can find out, said the French representative. Absolutely, if they had been shot or stabbed we would have something to go on, said the Swedish representative. If that's the case we have no choice but to call L, said the representative of Canada. This made everyone fall silent. Boss, who is L? The black-haired young man asked his partner. I forgot that it's your first time at a conference. We don't know L's real name or where he is, in fact we don't even know what he looks like. However, he has managed to solve every case he investigates, and has he worked on the greatest mysteries the world has ever had. He hides in the shadows, but he is the best of the best, the last resort, he answered his partner. I heard that L is quite arrogant. I understand that he only investigates the cases that interest him, said the representative of Sweden. He is right, we don't even know how to contact him, said the representative of the Russian Federation. L is already investigating, said a man dressed in a black trench coat and a hat that perfectly covered his identity. Gentlemen, L has already begun the investigation of these incidents. Vatari, said the man next to the black-haired youth, earning a doubtful expression from his companion. Who is he? Asked the young man. He is the only one who can contact L. We do N''T know his own identity of him either. Be quiet. L now wants to address the delegates, Watari said, showing a laptop with the letter L on the screen, while the big screen behind him also showed the letter L. Greetings to all members of the ICPO. I am L. He spoke in a distorted voice through the laptop. The difficulty of this case is unprecedented, and do not doubt it, we are witnesses of an atrocious case of mass homicide. This case cannot be completed without the help of each one of the members of the ICPO, that is to say all the police agencies of the world. In this meeting they need to make the decision to fully support the investigation. I also require the complete cooperation of the Japanese police. This made the pair of colleagues get up from their seats. Hey? Exclaimed the older one, because the one from Japan in particular. Whether it's an individual or a group there's a chance it's Japanese, and I'm sure it's in Japan. What is this based on? Asked the Japanese police chief. Question. Why Japan? I will present evidence once we have a direct confrontation with the culprit. A direct confrontation. Anyway, I would like the headquarters to be located in Japan. Go City Occult Research Room. We can see everyone talking pleasantly because today they had no pending contract, so Issei decided to turn on the television to watch the news, while Ryuk and Drake paid more attention. Drake in case any name of a criminal appeared. We apologize for the interruption to bring you a worldwide message from Interpol. This made everyone pay attention to the TV, including Riaz, who was clearly interested in this. What is it? What's wrong? Ryuk and Asia asked at the same time. I don't know, Issei replied. Now a live broadcast of the ICPO after they showed a subject named Lindell Taylor. I have an entire international police organization that includes all nations. I am Lindell Taylor, also known as L. How serious is that? Riaz said excitedly, because being from the supernatural world, she was well informed about that famous private investigator. Criminals around the world have been murdered by a serial killer. I consider this homicide to be the most atrocious in the history of humanity. I will not rest until the person or persons responsible are brought to justice. Kira, I will marry you, and I will find you. Are you sure he'll catch you? Ryuk said. That guy, said Kira. Issei said, intrigued. He is a murderer who recently appeared on the web as the possible person responsible for the deaths of criminals around the world, said Riaz, while showing him her information on her cell phone. Kira, I have a good idea of what your motivation is, and I can guess what you are trying to achieve. Kira, what you are doing now is evil. This last thing was emphasized. It's obvious that he's evil. I don't know where he's going with this. Maybe he's trying to provoke him, Issei said out loud. This seems like a trap, Issei. I agree, mate, this is a trap. I know, I'm not even that stupid to fall for that. Only an idiot would fall for that provocation. At that moment the subject on television began to complain and grab her chest, and then she died. Wait, what? Issei thought in shock. What the heck? Riaz said, impressed. Someone else did it. I suspect it was another guy with a death note, and he's doing the same thing as you. At that moment the letter L appeared on the television screen, shocking everyone. I had to take the test, but I never imagined it would happen. Kira, it seems you can kill a person without having to be there. I wouldn't believe it if I hadn't just witnessed it. Listen to me, Kira, if you killed really cute L. Taylor, let me tell you that it was a criminal. His execution was scheduled for today. That wasn't me. The police kept him at bay, so you wouldn't find out about him through television or the internet. It seems that not even you have access to information on that kind of criminal. But one thing is for sure, L is real. I exist. Now try to kill me. Come on, kill me. What's going on? Hurry up. Come on, kill me. What's wrong? What are you waiting for? Kill me. What's going on? You can do it. Well, Kira, it seems that after all you can't kill me, so there are people you can't kill you. Gave me a useful clue. I'll return the favor. I'll tell you something you'll find interesting. Even although this was announced as a worldwide broadcast, the truth is we're only broadcasting in the Kanto region in Japan and in the Kuo city. I was planning on live streaming this broadcast to each region of the world separately, but it seems that won't be necessary anymore. Now I know where you might be. The police treated your first murder as unrelated, but your first victim was a suspect in Shinjuku. Out of all the criminals who have recently died of a heart attack, he is of much less importance, and his crime was only reported in Japan. I used that information to deduce this. You're in Japan and your first victim was just an experiment, which means that you haven't been killing for long. We decided to broadcast in these two cities on the off chance that you're in Kuo or Kanto, due to the amount of population. Obviously I'm very interested in knowing how you kill without being present, but I don't mind waiting a little longer. You'll be able to answer all my questions when I catch you. I'll see you soon, Kira. At that moment the broadcast ended. Is Kira real? Ria said in disbelief, so she would have to talk to her brother about it. Chapter 5. It's been several days since the incident with Kira happened on TV, which impacted both the human and supernatural world, since something like this had never been seen before. For his part, Issei noticed something strange a few days later, and that is that he was being followed by someone, so without hesitation, he acted as if nothing was happening, but due to his activities as a demon, the rest of the Gremory entourage noticed this. At this moment they were all gathered in the hidden club room. Issei, there's something I want to ask you, Ria said seriously. Tell me, Ria's but you, he said with equal seriousness. Be sure to tell you that they've been following you these days, Ryuk said, standing behind Ria's with his typical smile. Issei, an FBI agent has been following you these last few days, to be more exact, 2 days after the Kira incident, she said seriously. I have a theory as to why but you. This intrigued everyone in the room. The times in which Kira killed the victims were close to school hours, or rather it fits perfectly with school hours. I suspect that being number 1 nationwide in the exams put me in the spotlight, since Kira must be someone quite intelligent and with access to the police cases, and that is where the problem is, since I do not have access to it, but in the same way they must have me under surveillance as a possible suspect, he said Issei seriously. It makes sense, but you, Issei-kun is someone extremely intelligent, so his theory has relevance in being investigated, Kiba said seriously as well. Ice-nai-san, said Asia, drawing the attention of the others, you have a summon. I understand, but you, said Issei. Though Issei said, to which Issei nodded and left in a magic circle, while Ryuk flew off in the direction where Issei left. But you don't think Issei is? Kaneko asked curiously. There's a possibility, Kaneko. It's likely that Issei is Kira, Ria said seriously. At that a magic circle of the Gremory house appeared and Ria's became more serious. With Issei. Issei had just appeared in a somewhat dark apartment. In the background you could see a young black-haired man in a white shirt and baggy black pants. Next to the young man was the FBI agent who had been following Issei all week, and on the other side of the young man was an elderly man dressed in a trench coat. You could see the surprise in their eyes, and suddenly the FBI agent raised his gun. What the hell are you and where did you come from? The agent shouted loudly. You already said it, I'm a demon, and I've been summoned with that pamphlet he's holding, Issei said, raising his hand and pointing at the young man. I have no hostile intentions. Well, and besides, your weapon is useless against me, Issei said, taking out a pair of demon wings. So you say you are a demon, I assume angels exist too? The young man questioned. That's right, in fact all mythologies exist except the Lovecraftian one, that's just a fictional story, said Issei. Well, the young man looked at him analytically. Well, after seeing you appear in that kind of circle with strange engravings and you took out a pair of bat wings, I can say that I believe a little of what you say, said the young man. Well, they have summoned me and according to my application, he said, showing on his cell phone an application with a request on the screen, it says that you wanted to know about Kira or how to stop him, said the brown-haired boy, receiving a statement from the young man. Hey Issei, are you going to help him or not? Because if so, this will get interesting. Ryuk said behind the others. But I must offer you something in return, mustn't I? My soul. Said the young man. We don't charge souls, we charge goods, whether it be money or valuables depending on the wish. In your case, it would be 11,120 yen, which would be like $100, said Issei, showing the value of the young man's wish. Well, that's pretty cheap, he said. Well, we could really use your help. One question, is your name really Hyoudou Issei? The young man asked. That's right, you see, I was human before, but they tried to kill me, and on the verge of death my current mistress saved me, and in gratitude, I agreed to be part of her entourage, said the brown-haired boy simply. I understand, and do we have to sign some contract with blood or something like that? Asked the young man. There's no need for something like that, you just have to sign this document and you'll be able to summon me through this same pamphlet, said Issei, without saying the young man's name, so that he would say it and not look suspicious. Ryuzaki Liuid, that's my name, but everyone knows me as L, although you can call me whatever you like, said the one now identified as L, but Issei knew that the name was partly false. I understand, I'll call you L, said Issei, handing the contract to L. When he read it, he saw that there was no trick in it, so he signed it as L instead of his false name. Well, if you need my help, don't hesitate to call me. I can help you with many things, said Issei. I understand. I'll call you later, Issei. See you soon. He said, watching the boy leave in a magic circle. Are you sure about this, L, said the FBI agent. Pretty sure about this, Ray Pember, L said confidently. I hope you made the right decision, said the man in the trench coat. I hope so, Watari. In the hidden club room. Issei, as soon as he arrived he found a heavy atmosphere, but he was intrigued to see a silver-haired maid next to her mistress. Issei, we were waiting for you. How did your contract go? The redhead asked. Very well, Riaz, but you see for yourself who my contract is, said the brown-haired boy, extending the contract, and when he saw it, Riaz was more impressed and shouted loudly. You have a contract with L, he said in shock. That's right, apparently the agent who was watching me worked for L, and when they saw that I was leaving pamphlets they must have picked one up, and in a trial and error test they managed to summon me. I managed to close the contract with the condition of helping him in Kira's case, said Issei, leaving even the maid perplexed. I understand, for now take a seat, Issei, said Riaz as the tension rose. Well, as you know, but before speaking, a magic circle appeared and from it came a tornado of fire where a man ended up appearing. It's been a long time since I came to the human world, said the blonde. I missed you, my Hexy Riaz, he said with an arrogant voice. And I've wanted to crush you for a long time, Riser Phoenix, Riaz said seriously. Hey, you laugh at me, so accept your fate and marry me, he said with arrogance. I'd rather let myself be killed by a vector coffin than that, Riaz said, remembering Issei's ability. This left those who knew the chestnut technique stunned, turning pale instantly. Fried chicken and arrogant, haha, I want to see him fall, said Ryuk next to Riser, putting a paper on his back. What is a vector coffin, Nai-san? Said Asia without knowing what it was about. It must be said that Riser was interested in the question. It's better that you never know, Asia, it's not something you want to see, Issei said lovingly, stroking the blonde's head. I still have nightmares about that, Kaneko commented. Yes, me too, said Kiba. Tell me what it's about, Riser said with annoyance. Have you seen the Naruto series? I'm asking Issei. Yes, my sister made me watch it once with her. Imagine Gaara's sand coffin but without the sand, as if it were nothing that crushed it, Issei said seriously. At that moment Riser was shocked and then became very upset. Listen, Riaz, I am the heir of the Phoenix clan, I cannot allow you to humiliate me like that, he said, clearly angry and in a serious voice. I'm not interested in that, Riser. I decide who to marry, Riaz said seriously. I will take you back to the underworld with me, even if I have to burn all your servants to ashes, he said arrogantly. Well, try it, eat on fried chicken, Issei said seriously. This made Riser angry and Riaz began to bring out a bit of her aura, but. Please stop, the maid said seriously. Oju-sama, Riser-sama, I have come on Surzich's-sama's orders and for your own good, I will not let anything happen, she finished saying. So that precious queen can say that, he said, raising his hands and speaking calmly. You scared me a little with that speech. My master knew this would happen and gave me instructions to follow in case something like this happened. How is this? Asia asked without understanding. Hey Issei, you know, sometimes I love her innocence, Ryuk said next to Issei. It must be said that Issei had to make a face to avoid laughing, but for his part, Drake was laughing a lot. I agree with Ryuk, I love her innocence, lol, said Drake laughing inside the boosted gear. If Oju-sama wanted to impose her will so much, she ordered me to start a rating game to fix things, the maid said seriously. I have experienced several games and I have won many, and you have no experience, and you do not even have all your pieces to be able to fight, said Riser mockingly. Riaz, I will ask this to be sure, is this all your entourage? Yes, and they are too powerful, Riser. I am even proud of each one of them, she said confidently. Riser just laughed and snapped his fingers as a magic circle appeared in the place where 15 women came out of it. "These are my 15, in a few words I have a complete set," he said arrogantly. Issei, seeing them, sighed in disappointment along with the rest of the entourage except for Asia, who did not understand why they sighed so disappointed. "And what do you want to get at with that? Quantity is not quality," said Issei bored. "How dare you say that when you are in your rank?" Riser said with clear anger. "You're offended, why don't we go to that rating game already?" Issei said with mockery in his voice. "No, I'll give you 10 days to train so you can fight me at least a little bit," he said mockingly and arrogantly. "If you're so strong, tell me what stuck to your back," Issei said mockingly while Ryuk laughed. This surprised everyone, so the blonde with drill-shaped pigtails approached and removed the paper from her brother's back and then looked angry. "How dare you make fun of Oni-sama and the entire Phoenix clan," she said quite angrily, to which Riser took the paper from her and read it and then shouted furiously. "As if the roast chicken head clan, I'm going to kill you," Riser said angrily. "Haha, the fried chicken got upset because of a simple joke," Ryuk said mockingly. "Enough, Riaz, I tried to be nice and give you a little advantage, but my patience ran out. I want to start the rating game now," he said, clearly upset. "Let's go now, roast chicken head," said Riaz, provoking the Phoenix. "Well, Riaz-sama, the stage is set, it will be a usual rating game," said the maid. "I want one by elimination, 1 versus 1 Grafia," said Riaz. "I'm sorry, Oju-sama, but Surzicha-sama ordered it like this," said the one now identified as Grafia. "Let's go now, Riaz, and you," said Riser pointing at the brown-haired boy, "will pay for your insolence," he said furiously. "Whatever you say, roast chicken head, whatever you say, roast chicken head," Ryuk and Issei said at the same time and with boredom. After that, both teams were teleported to a replica of the Kuo Academy. "Your attention, we welcome you to the Gremory clan and the Phoenix clan. I am a servant of the Gremory clan, Grafia. Listen, the places where you were teleported are your respective bases, Riaz-sama's being the Occult Research Club and Riser-sama's being the Student Council Room. If any pawn reaches the enemy base, they can be promoted to any piece except the king. You have 10 minutes to plan your strategy before you begin," the maid finished declaring. "Okay guys, let's follow the plan we had previously planned," Riaz said in a serious tone. "I bet you," they all said instantly. For 10 minutes they were relaxing and equipping themselves for combat until the alarm sounded. "Well started," declared Grafia. "Let's go," Issei said while Kaneko agreed. From there they arrived at the academy gymnasium where 3 pawns and a rook were waiting. "So Gremory servants came," said the girl in Chinese dress. "Let's finish this quickly, Issei-senpai," said Kaneko. "I understand," said Issei and then raised his fist towards a girl with a BM who was surprised by that, but seconds later she felt as if thousands of blows hit her, shining and then disappearing. "The Phoenix Riser pawn is retreating," Grafia declared. "What the hell have you done?" shouted the pawns and the Phoenix rook. "Vacuum fist. 1,000 laments of the crane, that is my technique and fighting style," the brown-haired boy lied with complete shamelessness, while his partner agreed in agreement. "Now that we have confirmed what you have done, it will not happen again," said the tower. "Don't be so sure," Issei said mockingly and then heard 3 Phoenix Riser pawns retreat. This left them perplexed to turn to see their companions and see that they were in the air being strangled by something. "1,000 regrets of the crane," said Issei in a serious tone. It was seen how the 2 twins screamed in pain until they disappeared in the light, while Kaneko at high speed tackled the other tower when she was distracted, becoming unconscious on the spot. 2 pawns and a Phoenix Riser rook removed, Grafia announced. "Okay, let's go," said Issei, to which Kaneko nodded and they left the place, which was destroyed by Akeno. "Let's continue with the plan," senpai said Kaneko to move forward, but a magic circle appeared and then exploded. "Without, however, the Queen of Reserve lives, that is not silent. Doesn't it affect you that your partner was eliminated?" said the queen. "And who said I was eliminated?" Kaneko said in the dust and then clapped her hands and scattered the dust. "But how?" he said in surprise. "Divine protection of the tiger, another of my abilities," said Issei, lying again. "I see," she said as Akeno stood in front of her. "I will defeat her, you go ahead," said Akeno. "Come on, Kaneko, by the way, don't even try to use this," said Issei, showing a jar with a red substance. "My Phoenix tears, but when?" she said, dismayed. "I stole the mantis, another of my techniques," the brown-haired boy lied again, since it was Ryuk who took them from him in an instant. After that, Issei walked outside the building where the student council room was, where Kiba was waiting for them. "I see you've arrived," said the blonde. "No problem, everything according to plan," said the white-haired girl. "I see that they are very stupid to attack head-on, but I like it that way," said the girl with armor. "I wanted to clash swords with another knight," said the blonde to take out his sword and pointed at Carloman. "Well, let's start," she said as they both launched into a battle. "Wow, I thought I found a cute boy, but he turned out to be a swordhead," said the girl with drill-shaped pigtails. "I hope you're ready to lose," Issei said in a serious tone. "Now I will not fight," said the girl Isabella ordered. "I'm Isabella Tower of Riser Phoenix, well here I go pawn of," she didn't finish saying as she was thrown into the air and then received several impacts that no one could see so that she finally fell into a crater and began to disappear at the same time that a huge lightning bolt was seen in the sky. "The tower and queen of Riser Phoenix are retreating," Grafia announced. "But how?" said the blonde with pigtails. "Oh you mean this," Issei said showing the jar. "You're cruel, Issei, let's defeat them all at once," Ryuk said, to which Issei nodded. "Phoenix tears, where did you get it?" said the blonde. "I stole it and now," said Issei snapping his fingers so that immediately everyone except the girl with pigtails and the knight that Kiba was fighting against received attacks from all sides and then faded into lights. "3 pawns, a knight and a bishop of the Phoenix Riser retreat," announced Grafia. "Well, follow the Phoenix," said Issei as he walked and was followed by Kaneko and Akeno who had just arrived. "Good job Issei," Kunyufufu Akeno praised. "You may have defeated them all, but Ani-sama won't lose to anyone," said the blonde Phoenix. "That remains to be seen," Issei said until he reached the building and entered Queen Promotion, Issei said, and his power rose a little, but then his boosted gear materialized. "Dragon Booster Final Liberation Announcement Drake, congratulations partner, you reached the balance breaker." "Interesting, I've always wanted to see the power of the boosted gear in action up close," Ryuk said. "Wow, where is Riaz?" Riser Phoenix asked as he left the building. "Right here Riser, you know in chess this is checkmate," said Riaz. "But this isn't chess, Riaz," I replied mockingly. "Issei, show him your power," Riaz ordered. "I hope you stay a pawn," Riser mocked. Welsh Dragon Balance Breaker, a fire tornado formed around Issei and parts of an armor slowly appeared and then finally the entire armor was shown. "I hope you're ready, Riser, because this is going to hurt," the brown-haired boy announced. They immediately launched themselves at each other and clashed fists, but Riser instantly received many impacts on his body and they were truly painful. Issei noticed that the Phoenix's wounds were regenerating, so he smiled maliciously inside the helmet. "Poor fried chicken is going to suffer," Ryuk said mockingly. "Ha, that's all, you're a P." He didn't finish speaking when his arms and legs were amputated and he received many blows and then Issei hit him in the chest, sinking him into the ground. "You're the pathetic one, Riser," Riaz said, "did you even think you had a chance to win?" she said in a cold tone. "Issei, finish him off," she said as Kaneko forcefully held Ravel, who wanted to save her brother from her. "It's over, Dragon Shoot," said Issei launching a magic attack which when it hit Riser was heard. "Riser Phoenix can't continue, Riaz Gremory wins the fight," Grafia declared. Chapter 6. It's been a month since Riser Phoenix's defeat and things for Riaz Gremory couldn't be better. She had the freedom to choose who to marry, her prestige in the underworld grew, and above all, she showed off her powerful pawn, who gained the fame of the most powerful security by defeating a high-class demon considered immortal with a few attacks and strongly humiliating him. At this moment she was quietly drinking tea when she saw her pawn enter the room where only she and her pawn were, and the reason is simple, she suspects that Hyoudou Issei, the current security, is Kira, the serial killer who has currently killed more than 100,000 criminals around the world. "Issei, do you know why I called you?" the Redeed asked. "Don't laugh at all, but it's funny that it's just you and me, is something wrong?" the brown-haired boy answered and questioned. "You see, Issei," said Riaz, getting up from her comfortable chair and walking until she was in front of Issei. "I'll be frank and direct with you," she said in a rather serious tone. "I know you're Kira," the Redeed said. "I knew I couldn't keep it from you for long, but Issei said in a calm tone. "However, there's one mistake, and that is that I'm not entirely Kira." This earned a frown and a doubt from the Redeed. "Apparently there's someone else who can kill others with the same method, and according to L's research, it might be Light Yagami," the brunette said with deadly serenity as the air around the brunette grew heavier and her eyes glowed blood red. "Issei, I'm aware that you're doing this for the greater good, but do you also know what's wrong? What you're doing is murder," he said seriously. "But remember that I'm not human anymore and I never was," said the brown-haired boy lifting his hair, showing the pair of horns. "Besides, I'm a being of darkness, a demon perhaps. Isn't it normal do I want to satisfy my ambitions?" "There's something behind all this," the Redeed said seriously. "Does it have to do with your wish that you had to fulfill even if you became a demon, which you mentioned before?" "Indeed yes," said the brown-haired boy seriously. "I will rescue Lucy no matter what it takes," he said with much more seriousness. "I see," she said quite relaxed. "It is not an empty or immature goal, but everything is contrary." After that she put on a much more serious face. "I will help you find it." This earned a gesture of doubt in the brown-hairy girl. "No offense, but why?" the brown-haired boy asked. You are my pawn, but also my family, and you know that I see my entourage as my family. If I have to go against my own brother, so be it," he finished with more seriousness than before. "But is there something I want to know?" Issei knew what it was about, so he summoned the boosted gear. "I hope you don't regret it, Issei," Ryuk said in his normal tone of voice. "Dragon a leaf," said Issei. "Yes, partner," Ria's Gremory, "what you will see is a secret that you must take to the grave," Drake sentenced, earning a determined look from Ria's. At one point in Issei's hand where the boosted gear was, there was a sheet of notebook paper that brought out the Redeed's intrigue. "Take it at your own risk, but don't get upset when you meet Ryuk." This earned the Redeed's doubt, but she wouldn't back down and took the blade to then see Ryuk next to Issei. "Nice to meet you, I'm Ryuk the Shinigami. Don't confuse me with the Shinigami of Shintoism or the Soul Reapers. We are very different," Ryuk said in his normal tone of voice, as he took an apple and ate it. "Delicious," although it doesn't surpass my taste for manga. "I understand, it's a pleasure, although you should already know who I am, right?" said the Redeed. "And you're not wrong, in fact I was the one who suggested to Issei to make the sand coffin, haha," he said mockingly when he saw the Redeed's surprised face. "So you're the cause of my nightmares because of the trauma that left me," said the Redeed angrily. "That's right, it was entertaining to see that technique," said the Shinigami. "Well, Issei," Ria said seriously, "do you use the power of the Shinigami to kill? Or is it something else?" "I use a special item called Death Note, but it is inside the boosted gear, and even if she is my master of her, I circa N''T give it to her," he said seriously. Riaz felt slightly annoyed but let him pass even though the knock on the door caught her attention. Said Riaz to see how Sona Sitri and her queen entered the club with their typical serious looks. "Riaz, we have to talk in private, it's an important matter," Sona said as Riaz walked over to see Issei, and he got up from his seat and looked at her. "We'll talk another time, Butchu," said the brown-haired boy as he headed for the exit. "I hope you don't talk about what we talked about here with anyone else." With that said, Issei left. Well, Sona looked interested in that, but when she noticed that he told Riaz not to talk about it with anyone, and knowing that Riaz wouldn't tell her for anything, she decided to give up on asking. With Issei. He walked to his house with a serious look while Ryuk spoke. It should be said that Issei was wearing a hands-free kit so he could answer Ryuk. "I liked him, but I must say that I was amused to see his face when I mentioned the vector coffin," haha, said Ryuk calmly. "You know that guy L will suspect you sooner or later. I don't even think he does already, that's why he keeps you close, and honestly I like you, that's why he helped you, although I'm intrigued to meet that light Yagami, but surely for having the death note in his hands, he must already believe himself to be a god like every human or mortal bear who has possessed the death note in their hands, by the way that includes you, haha. I already know that Ryuk, although what intrigues me is why Butchu so easily agreed to help me in my business of saving Lucy. Anyway, then he looked at his house and felt two sacred auras in the lower part of his house, and Asia's aura in his room. "We have visitors," he's saying that he entered his house calmly, because if they were hostile, they would have already died at the hands of his father. After entering, she saw her mother talking happily with a couple of young women, one of them brunette with pigtails and the other blue-haired with a green lock of hair. Although her attention was on the brunette, she walked until she was in front of her and said, "It's been a long time since we last saw each other," Irina, Issei said seriously. "Yes, it's been a long time, as you see, I'm now an exorcist, but even in my free time I investigate his whereabouts," Irina said seriously. "I'm still investigating and I swear I'll find her," he said seriously, but with a smile when he saw that Irina hadn't forgotten Lucy. "Irina, is that the friend you mentioned to me? You know we can't befriend a demon," said the blue-haired girl with a sharp look. "This is none of your business, Inovia, we may be partners, but it bothers me that you meddle in what does not concern you," she said annoyed, which made Zenobia sit down, but quite annoyed, and the fact that she had her hand on the hilt of her sword was an indication of that. "Ice-san, I found this music box in your room, and it has a very nice melody," said Asia, going down with the box to put it on the coffee table and opening it, letting the melody be heard. "I like that melody, haha, it's sad but beautiful," said Ryuk with his typical smile. "Hey, what's this note in the box?" Asia said as Issei managed to record the small sheet of paper in time. "What's wrong, Ice-san?" the little blonde asked. "It's a little note that someone very important left me," he said without realizing that he was shedding tears, which surprised everyone except his mother and Irina, who took him by the shoulder and said, "We will get her back no matter what it takes, it's a promise," said the brunette with pigtails, while the blue-haired girl was much more intrigued by that. "Are you going to stay for dinner anyway?" Issei asked, to which Zenobia replied. "No, or at least I don't, so good night, I'll wait for you at the church arena." After that they sat down to dinner, but Issei was called by L to continue with the investigation, so Issei retired in a magic circle, although Rina was surprised to see two fallen angels arrive at the brown-haired boy's house. To clean without further ado she left the place. The next day Issei arrived with Asia to the hidden research room where Riaz and the rest were sitting waiting for the pair who sat down. "Well, now that we are complete, what have two followers of God come to do in my territory?" Riaz asked. "We came to ask, not to demand, that you do not interfere in our mission to recover the Excalibur swords," said Zenobia, but Irina spoke immediately. Two Excalibur swords were stolen from the Orthodox Church and another was stolen from the Protestant Church. These were Nightmare, Blessing and Rapidity. They were stolen by the fallen angel of cadre level Kakabiel. "We just came to let you know about our mission," Irina said, trying to calm the mood. "Although it makes me suspicious of you that there are fallen angels among you," Zenobia said seriously. "I'm your slaves, is there a problem?" Issei said, interfering. "Whatever, just don't interfere with our mission," said Zenobia. "You say that there is a cadre level fallen angel in our territory who has stolen 3 swords from the church and tell me, do you have any idea why?" Issei asked, to which Zenobia denied. "Well, I have deduced that he wants to unleash a war. In fact, it is obvious why the hell he would come to the enemy territory where the Sisters of Tumayu happen to be located. It is because he first provoked the church by stealing their precious swords and will use them to kill the 2 Sisters of Tumayu to again provoke the war between the 3 factions." She finished analyzing. "What, that bastard is why he ordered us to kill sacred gear users to weaken the territory and cause friction, encouraging war," Kalwerner said angrily, and that caught the attention of the others. "Well, I wouldn't get involved in church matters, this is on a larger scale. I'll have to inform my brother and prepare for a possible attack," Riaz said, but Zenobia was still reluctant to cooperate. "I can't work with demons," said the blue-haired girl, annoyed. "We won't work together but under the same purpose. Must Irina recover them or do you have another order?" Issei asked. "We must recover them or destroy them so that they do not fall into enemy hands." At that moment Kiba took a step and said, "I will gladly destroy the Excalibur, better said I will do it," he said with clear anger and seriousness. "I support Kiba, in our case destroying them would be the most viable option," Issei said analytically. "And if they destroy them, what will they do with the sword parts?" asked Zenobia. "It would be best if you took care of the fragments. We are only interested in destroying the threat in our territory," said Riaz seriously. "In that case we will cooperate for the same purpose, however that does not make us allies," said Zenobia. "This girl is tiring me, Issei, if she continues with that attitude of hers I'll kill her," Ryuk said, annoyed while Riaz tensed up at what he said, since the Shinigami was not playing games. "Well said, let's plan the patrols to look for Kakabiel or some of his allies," said Issei. "Kaneko, Kiba and I will be a team, Irina and Zenobia the second team. Asia, Kalwerner and Mattel the third team. Akeno and Riaz Butchu will stay in the club as temporary headquarters and communications team, meaning we must communicate any clue or valuable detail without omitting details, so that they can inform the rest of the team," he finished saying, while Irina gave her phone number to Riaz. "Sounds good to me, well we'll go on patrol first, let's go," Irina said Zenobia as Irina said goodbye to Issei. Once they left, Kiba spoke. "Issei-kun, this is my revenge." "You don't have to do this," Kiba said, somewhat annoyed. "You will have your revenge and this way I will avoid hunting you down like a renegade." "I don't think Butchu or the rest of the club wanted to see you die like that, renegade," Issei said, while everyone except Asia, Middle and Ryuk had a huge shiver. Kaneko approached Kiba and took him by the arm. "I don't want Hyoudou-senpai to go," he said with a sad look. "If Kaneko asks me, I can't do anything," he said resignedly. "Besides, I don't want to die like this," he said, trembling and looking at Issei. "Don't worry, I would never hurt a partner, much less a friend," Issei said as he extended his hand in greeting, and the latter accepted the gesture. After that, Issei was summoned by L to help in Kira's investigation, although he was surprised when Issei told him about what happened to Kakabiel. The next day at dawn, more precisely at 3 a.m., Issei along with Kaneko and Kiba walked through the streets of Kuo meeting Irina and Zenobia who looked tired, so they went to the club room where they would sleep since it was the temporary headquarters and was considered neutral territory temporarily. Zenobia did not refuse to stay. On their way they found a renegade priest who attacked them on Kakabiel's orders and tried to kill them. Kaneko jumped first and hit him in the chest, throwing him away. He fell to his feet and managed to stop a stab from Kiba with his sword of light, but it began to fade, so the renegade priest jumped back, however, he remained suspended in the air. "I want you to tell me if you're with Kakabiel or if you're just another idiot in the world," Issei said seriously. "I won't tell you anything, damn it." He didn't finish speaking when his left arm was mutilated. "Well, where is he?" Issei asked again. "Arg, don't you?" His head rolled on the ground as Issei managed to see where the priest turned. "Thank you for your cooperation," he said, so that he could summon the boosted gear and launch a dragon shoot, disintegrating him instantly. "We have to tell Riaz Butchu that Kakabiel is at the observatory." Chapter 7. After locating the place where Kakabiel was, everyone advanced towards the place where, upon arriving, a renegade priest was waiting for them, and from his face, you could see the madness that lived within him. "Oh, but what do I see if it's not Asia-chan? I see that you turned into a bucking demon, hahaha. Well, that doesn't matter, what matters is that your princess of the Crimson Ruin is here," he said with a certain touch of madness in his voice. "My boss wants to see you," he said, looking up where a fallen angel with red eyes and pointy ears with his 5 wings spread out, was looking at them seriously. "Fallen angel Kakabiel, what is such a despicable being like you doing in my territory?" Ria said seriously. "Strong words for a demon as weak as you. Anyway, I've come to do a little experiment." She had to dodge a spear of light middle, but look at what you've lowered yourself to, little one, she said mockingly. "I recommend you don't mess with my slave if you don't want to end up dead," Issei said with some arrogance. "Oh, how brave or stupid low-class demon, whatever, if you want to prevent me from destroying the city, try to stop me," he said to summon several spears of light and leave the place while Kaneko said. "He went to Kuo Academy," he said pointing to the place. "I'll call Sona to cover the area with a barrier. Kaneko, Akeno, Kalwarner, Asia, you will help with the barrier. Middle, Issei, Hyoudou and Arena accompany me to defeat Kakabiel," said Riaz. However, Zenobia was upset for not being included in the battlefield. "Zenobia, I entrust you with the rearguard and the defense of the barrier. Kakabiel, I doubt he came alone and they may try to attack treacherously, so I trust you to protect them," Zenobia acknowledged as it seemed fine to her. Upon arriving, they took their respective positions while Riaz, Issei, Middle, Kiba and Arena entered the academy. Once they reached the central part of the academy, they saw Kakabiel sitting on his throne while an old man used alchemy to unite the 3 Excalibur into one, while the priest looked at them mockingly. "Well, who's coming will be Surziches or Serafol," he said boredom. "None is needed," said Issei. Kakabiel launched a huge spear of light towards the academy gym, but Issei destroyed it with his vectors. "Is that all? I expected more from a cadre level fallen angel," Issei said bored. Kakabiel got upset, so he used a magic transportation circle, and several Cerberus came out of it. Issei advanced just a few steps when Kiba and Arena passed by him at high speeds and began to fight with the Cerberus. Riaz just raised one of her fingers and expelled a small sphere of destruction and hit the head of a Cerberus that was heading in her direction, killing it instantly. Pathetic, Riaz said with contemplation. "Oh, so you're not only a pretty face, but you really know how to fight, huh?" Kakabiel said mockingly as he watched a Cerberus try to attack Issei, but was left suspended in the air while a dark smile was seen on his face. Both Kiba and Riaz looked away while Arena watched this with interest. "Vector coffin," Issei shouted as the huge beast screamed in agony, but then fell silent and a heartbreaking sound was heard. The beast was crushed in the air before the astonished gaze of Middle and Arena, who did not believe what they had seen, although more so Middle, who was somewhat afraid of being a victim of said technique. "Wow, what an interesting skill, brat, but you need more than that to beat me," Kakabiel said on his throne. "It's ready," shouted with joy the old priest who had in front of him a floating golden sword. "Freed by Kakabiel." "Say boss," said the silver-haired man with red eyes with extreme madness. "This is your next order, kill those demons and bring me the head of the Citriaris," his tone of voice was relaxed. "Aye boss, I'll do it with my precious Excalibur-chan, now who will I slice first?" he said to himself the last thing. Kiba took a few steps forward with his sword in hand, but the old priest seeing him said. "But look, you're the last survivor of the Holy Sword Project," he said mockingly, "so you became a demon, huh?" Kiba recognized him and looked at him with a lot of anger on his face. Irina took a step and said. "Valper Galilei, the priest of the massacre of the Holy Sword Project, we have orders to kill you for your crimes," he said, wielding his sword. "Valper Galilei," Kiba shouted in anger as he increased his power. "You know I should thank you because thanks to your sacrifice I was able to create this." He held a blue diamond-shaped crystal, and none of you, no matter how much faith you had, could wield an Excalibur sword, so after investigating I discovered that it was due to the lack of a certain element, so I came to a conclusion. "To extract the elements from you and store them in these crystals," said Valper with joy. "The other idiots couldn't handle the charge and died upon receiving them," said Freed, launching himself against Arena in a sword fight. "Then there was no need to kill them," Kiba shouted in anger. "You were just ingredients for something bigger, once used you were of no use to me, so I just threw you away," said Valper. "All this time we thought we were part of something bigger, but we were just treated as ingredients," Kiba said in shock, and Valper threw the crystal at his feet. "Take it from that time, and I've gotten to the point where I can mass produce it," he said mockingly. Kiba picked it up as if it were the most valuable thing, and with small tears said. Eyes without realizing some silhouettes began to form around Kiba. "I've always wondered if it was okay to be the only one to survive. You all had dreams and desires, is it okay that I was the one who survived?" One of the silhouettes grabbed him by the sleeve and pulled it lightly, drawing Kiba's attention, who looked at the little girl next to him, and she smiled at him. Suddenly all the silhouettes began to fly around Kiba while saying. Except us we are not afraid, even if God is not watching, our hearts will always be. One Kiba concluded as the souls entered him, my friends did not want revenge, yet I cannot help but destroy the evil that lies before me, Kiba said, taking a few steps towards Valper and summoning a sword. Suddenly he lifted her up and said. I will become my sword, he said as a pair of energies being light and darkness surrounded the blade of the sword of betrayal, the sword that maintains the balance between light and darkness, said Kiba, while Valper remained in disbelief. Freed, Valper shouted in panic, and the insane priest jumped in front of him to protect him. Fool, you should have taken the gem and… He didn't finish saying because he suddenly fell silent and his gaze faded to look at Kakabiel. Hello fallen angel Kakabiel, allow me to introduce myself, I am the god of the new world, I am Kira, so fear me or hate me because I am justice. After he grabbed his chest while suffering a cardiac arrest and died leaving Kakabiel stunned. What the hell was that? Freed said in fear. Don't tell me that bastard is real. Is Kira real? I asked scared. That doesn't matter, Kiba said, launching himself at him, slightly damaging the Excalibur. I'll just destroy that corrupted Excalibur, he said as he hit the sword with his own sword, destroying it while Freed stepped back, but soon fell to the ground while holding his chest and stopping breathing. I was fed up with that idiot, so don't take it the wrong way, Ryuk said looking at Riaz and Issei while holding his death note in his hand. Start Ost. You're alone, Kakabiel, Issei mentioned seriously, you're going to fight or flee, although I doubt you can. Suddenly Kakabiel was thrown to the ground next to his throne and they fell sinking into the ground. He looked up in astonishment and looked at the brown-haired boy until he saw his little horns hidden in his hair. The Diclonius, I let my guard down, Kakabiel said resignedly, who would have thought? The princess of the Crimson Ruin has an uncontrolled monster in her power, he said mockingly. Soon the boosted gear emerged on the chestnut's left arm and Drake spoke. I wouldn't be so sure if I had fallen, my partner has full control over himself, but you've said something that interests us, what do you know about the Diclonius? Or rather, how do you know them? Drake said the last thing with a certainly dark voice. The Seker Yuete, we are lost, it will be the Kakabiel screamed when one of his wings was dismembered. He asked you a question, answer it, said the brown-haired boy in a serious voice. I'd better listen to him, my pawn isn't usually patient, said Riaz. They are part of an old human experiment from more than 50 years ago, and they are a unique variation of humans. It is believed that they rose in ancient Egypt, but were extinguished by an ancient pharaoh who killed all the babies born on that date that carried those horns that you have, he said, pained and knowing that he had no escape. That's interesting. A voice was heard that destroyed the barrier, revealing a white armor with blue gems very similar to the armor of the boosted gear. Seker Yuete, I have come at the request of Azazel, leader of the fallen angels, to take me to Kakabiel, said the subject. The Kryuko, you better take him before I kill him, said Issei as he threw Kakabiel with great force towards the man in white armor, while Kakabiel's wings stayed on the ground. See you vanishing dragon until destiny claims its place. The subject took Kakabiel, who was already unconscious from the pain of losing his wings, and left in a magic circle, but before leaving he said. See you Welsh dragon, said the guy as he left the place. Stop Ost. Wow, if I hadn't seen it, I wouldn't believe it, Hyoudou Issei, now I believe your word, supernatural beings do exist, said L without further ado, accompanied by Rapemer and Watari. What are you doing here? This was very dangerous. You know that we just faced being that can destroy this city with enormous ease. That was reckless, Issei told him, slightly annoyed. I had planned to meet you here at the academy for a delicate matter that happened yesterday afternoon, L said, while the others looked on in amazement at the presence of a legend among the detectives of the human world. What happened? Said the brown-haired boy. Just as you suspected, the FBI agents except for Rapemer died a week after they monitored Light Yagami, and as you suggested we removed Ray from the database so he wouldn't fall victim to Kira, said L. Isenai-san, who is he? Asia asked, arriving with the members of the Citri clan, along with Zenobia, Akeno, Kaneko and Kalawerner. He is the #1 detective in the world whose real name is unknown, he is L, said Issei, leaving everyone shocked except those who were previously present. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.